Vol 2, Chapter 81, The Dilemma of Loyalty and Power. As Tang Xiao and his companions entered the dimly lit building, they were greeted by a human-shaped medical robot, introducing itself as 114D, the most loyal servant of the Master. The group was led into a hall where only a faint shadow could be seen standing on the second floor, peering down at them. Despite the darkness, Tang Xiao felt an intense gaze fixed on him, reminiscent of a venomous snake's stare, which sent a wave of discomfort through him. However, as the force stirred within him, the unease quickly dissipated, and his emotions stabilized. "You are Tang Xiao?" The shadowy figure's voice, though muffled by a mask, unmistakably belonged to Hago Damask II. It was sharp, yet somehow dulled, adding an eerie quality to the atmosphere. "Yes, I am Tang Xiao," he responded, maintaining his composure. "Excellent. No, you are more impressive than I anticipated. Your exploits in the Endor galaxy have not gone unnoticed, nor has the power you possess." Hago Damask II continued, his voice carrying a hypnotic allure that was hard to resist. "I can offer you everything, wealth, power, and influence, but in return, I seek your unwavering loyalty. Can you commit to that?" The words strength, wealth, and loyalty echoed in Tang Xiao's mind, tempting him with visions of grandeur. He found himself on the verge of succumbing to the desire to pledge himself to Hago Damask II, to beg for the power and status offered. Yet, he recognized this as the manipulative might of the Sith Lord. "Seize this opportunity, Tang Xiao. With Lord Hago's support, we will rise to unparalleled heights," Quinto chimed in, clearly under Hago's influence. Tang Xiao, feeling the immense pressure from Hago's presence, managed to muster his resolve and challenged, "Why should my loyalty be yours to command?" He knew he had to resist, understanding that the true test of refusal was in the allure of acceptance, though the thought seemed somewhat misplaced in his current predicament. "Without loyalty, there is only death," Hago Damask II threatened, as an invisible force constricted Tang Xiao's neck, making it impossible for him to breathe. The room's furniture vibrated violently under the clash of their powers, until a clay pot was knocked from a table, shattering upon the floor. Kun Te attempted to draw his weapon, but the overwhelming force rendered him immobile. After a tense few seconds, the pressure around Tang Xiao's neck vanished. Gasping for air and leaning against the wall for support, he rasped, "You mentioned a commission for us. What is this about?" Hago Damask II revealed, "A fourth group from the Endor galaxy is seeking a company and colonization license on Coruscant. It's clear you're the director of this group, and your recent defeat of the notorious pirate Iron Fang Kukin near Tatooine has not gone unnoticed. We've never concealed our activities. We're a legitimate colonial group," Tang Xiao stated firmly. "That's of no consequence to me. I have no interest in your small colony. However, your status could prove beneficial. Surrender to me, and you'll gain everything, including support for the colonization and development of the Endor galaxy. You understand the significance of my offer. What do you say?" Hago Damask II proposed, his voice calm yet persuasive. "I'm here strictly for the commission," Tang Xiao declared, his tone resolute. The tension in the air was palpable as Tang Xiao stood his ground, caught between the allure of power and the necessity of defiance. "As the leader of the fourth group, your response to my call indicates that you recognize the significance of my name, Black Godamask II. However, you might not be aware that I have another name. Do I need to know?" Tang Xiao interjected, his tone laced with indifference. Hige let out a sneer. "Let's focus on the task at hand. It's a challenging mission, but the rewards are substantial. Are you up for it?" "And what if I succeed?" Tang Xiao countered. "You possess unparalleled potential, Tang Xiao. Oh, completing this mission will earn you my guidance on harnessing your power. When that day arrives, you'll realize that everything prior was inconsequential, mere dust in the wind." "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. What's the reward?" 200,000 credit points, Hige replied, a hint of pride in his voice. Tang Xiao feigned excitement, probing further. "And the target?" "A shadowy organization. I lack detailed information, but I've pinpointed one of their leaders at a secret space station in the asteroid belt near the planet Costless. Your mission is to eliminate everyone on that station except for the leader, whom you must bring back to me." Hige explained, his tone chilling. "An assault on a space station?" Tang Xiao was taken aback. He hadn't anticipated such a task from Hige, especially one seemingly unrelated to their prior dealings on Tatooine. Could there be a deeper significance? I'll provide you with a signal jamming device to isolate the station for 60 minutes. Once you commence, you'll have only that window. Is it feasible? Hige inquired. Tang Xiao raised an eyebrow, then clenched his teeth in determination. You expect me to seize a space station and eliminate all its occupants within 60 minutes? Do you mistake me for Superman? No, the stakes demand a higher price. He had been emphasizing financial concerns, hoping to leverage this as a weakness in Black Godamask. Negotiate for more money, complete the task, and then we'll discuss terms. Rest assured, the compensation will exceed your expectations, but should you fail or let the information leak, well, Hige sneered, his figure gradually vanishing into the shadows, leaving no trace behind. At that moment, the medical robot 11-4D approached, carrying a bag of credit ingots. These ingots, a currency in the Galaxy Credit Point system, were crafted from rare metals and held immense value. Are you still searching for Star Wars, the Fourth Scourge novels for free? Simply search directly on Baidu. Reading novels is very simple. Vol 2, Chapter 82, Mutual Calculations. The deposit from the Master is 100,000 credit points. We trust you will fulfill this task and prevent the Master from having to personally reclaim this deposit, 11.4D stated in a mechanical, synthesized voice. Following this, the robot activated its holographic projection device, displaying the image of a human male in his 40s. Without prior information from 11.4D, Tang Xiao would have found it challenging to identify this figure as human. The target, identified as Samir Sahad, was a sight to behold. His muscular frame was marred by numerous grotesque scars, and his skin bore an unnatural black hue, reminiscent of a collection of corpse spots. His eyes emitted an eerie blue glow, and his features were so distorted that describing him as beast-like would not be an overstatement. It was clear from just a glance that Samir Sahad was not an individual to be trifled with. Moreover, the task at hand was to capture him alive, a detail that only added to Tang Xiao's concerns. Why does Hego Damask II want to target this man? He hardly seems like a champion of justice. Is there something the organization behind this is not seeing? Tang Xiao inquired, his brow furrowed. Your authority is insufficient for that information, replied 11-4D. Acknowledging the response, Tang Xiao glanced once more at the ominous hall behind him, its doorway serving as a bridge between light and darkness, before he, along with Quinto, who was fervently attempting to pledge his allegiance, departed. 11-4D remained stationary, watching them leave before turning to enter the dark edifice. Guided by its sensors, it made its way directly to the basement, where amidst a pile of dry weeds, a half-dead man lay. Water. I need water, the man pleaded weakly. Shortly after, Hego Damask Sek made his appearance, regarding the man with a cold indifference. Are you a crew member of the Iron Fang Kukan ship? He inquired slowly. The man could only repeat his plea for water. Stimulate him, Hego commanded 11-4D, who promptly administered a stimulant into the man's arm. The man screamed in agony before sitting up and confessing, I was part of the Kukan crew, but the ship has been missing for nearly a month. I know nothing more. Hego Damask II was uninterested in the ship's disappearance. I'm only concerned with what you know, he stated coldly, causing a deep, bone-deep wound to appear on the man's arm with a mere gesture. The man's screams filled the air, but Hego Damask II healed the wound just as quickly as he had inflicted it, showcasing his power. See, this is power. I control whether you live in agony or die in it. It's in your best interest to tell me what you know, he taunted. Without waiting for a response, Hego twisted the man's arm with an invisible force, eliciting more screams. After a moment, he restored the arm to its original state, only to twist it again, reveling in the process. Eventually, Hego ordered 11-4D to splash the man with cold water. Semi-conscious, the man desperately licked the droplets off his face, akin to a dog. Now let's talk, Hego prompted. At that time, Kukan was at a bar when suddenly Bass approached, claiming they had caught. Two individuals arrived, seemingly with a proposition, when they were suddenly apprehended. A man and a woman were captured and subjected to a brutal interrogation. Despite their resistance, They remained silent until a threat was made against the woman. Faced with this ultimatum, the man divulged everything, mentioning something about the Endor galaxy. Preparations were made to depart with the newly acquired information, but one of the captors, having previously arranged a meeting with a woman, chose to stay behind. Disinterested in the meager profits shared with Koken, he concealed himself in the restroom to avoid participation. "You were fortunate to have avoided that situation," Hygain remarked with a smile, acknowledging the man's luck. As he spoke, he tended to the man's injuries with a precision that bordered on miraculous, healing them until the man was on the verge of collapse from the sheer relief and terror. "No, please, no more. I'll do anything, just don't kill me," the man pleaded incoherently, terror-stricken. "Koken is involved with the Black Sun Syndicate. I need you to inform Vigo Cash Garrelon about Koken's dealings. The rest will be handled by the Black Sun themselves," Hygain stated indifferently. The man was panic-stricken, fearing retribution from Vigo Cash Garrelon for Koken's disappearance. "He will kill me for sure." "Oh, but of course, because I won't be the one to kill you," Hygain said, his laughter chilling the air. Terrified by the ominous laughter, the man hastily agreed to deliver the message to Vigo Garrelon. Realizing the futility of resistance against the formidable moon in a mechanical breathing mask, he was at a loss for words. "Give him some water and food, then place a tracker on him before letting him go," Hygain instructed before leaving the scene. Medical robot 11-4D promptly dragged the man away for recovery and surveillance. Meanwhile, Kuroko activated his communicator, summoning a holographic projection of a man shrouded in a black cloak. The man's face, partially obscured, revealed an eagle-like nose and a twisted expression. "My lord, I apologize for acting without your guidance in Coruscant. I took the liberty of directing the Nebula Front to hijack a shipment. The proceeds were funneled to Chancellor Valorum through an untraceable trust fund," the cloaked figure reported, bowing in deference. "Your actions are understandable. The Galactic Republic's corruption is beyond redemption. It's time for us to make our move," Black responded, his focus on broader schemes. The narrative then invites readers to bookmark the chapter for ease of future access and encourages sharing the story, Star Wars: The Fourth Natural Disaster, with friends across various platforms. Vol 2, Chapter 83, Initiating the Mission. "Beneath the shadow of his cloak," the man reported, "our plan is progressing smoothly, my lord. The Republic's influence continues to wane in the Outer Rim territories, and I have successfully blocked Motion 0Y9893. Consequently, the Galactic Republic will be powerless to prevent the corporate alliance from imposing additional fuel surcharges on the Hydian Way. This will ensure that the situation on Malastare remains unchanged. I believe this dispute will further expose the Galactic Republic's corruption to the Outer Rim planets." "This is precisely the outcome we anticipated," his master responded, his interest piqued. "I've heard rumors that you've taken on an apprentice. Is there any truth to this?" "Indeed, my lord. Although I'm aware it contradicts the rule of two established by Darth Bane, our current circumstances necessitate additional support," the apprentice admitted. "I've tasked him with hunting the most dangerous targets on remote Outer Rim planets and eliminating heavily guarded individuals. He has executed every mission flawlessly. Now, he stands as an unbeatable weapon, ever ready to dismantle the Jedi. A weapon devoid of thought, yet sharp. Excellent work, my apprentice," his master chuckled, clearly pleased. "Your guidance has been invaluable, my lord. Moreover, it's time we established our own military force. Controlling an army is essential for dominating the galaxy. Following your strategy, I've initiated discussions with the Kaminoans and reached a preliminary agreement. We're merely awaiting funding from the Interstellar Banking Clan." His master cut him off sharply. "That's not your concern. Remember, I have my plans, and you are but an instrument. For now, focus solely on ensuring the conflict on Malastare erupts as planned." "As you command, my lord," the apprentice replied, bowing deeply, his smile twisting unnaturally before ending the communication. "A weapon indeed, but even you harbor dangerous thoughts, my apprentice," his master mused, disappearing into the shadows once more. Aboard the Lancer, Tang Xiao abruptly woke Quinto with a slap, causing him to look around in confusion. "Manager, what happened to me?" "You were under control. Tang Xiao explained calmly. Control? Quinto paled, realizing he had been oblivious to his recent experiences. In essence, we're now aboard Black G's ship. He's demonstrated his power, confident he can silence us at will, Tang Xiao elaborated. But must we cooperate with Black G? Quinto asked, concerned. We're embroiled in a war, Munter. The fourth civilization lacks the means to defend itself, let alone thrive or profit from the conflict. Unless Black G assists us? Correct. He may be the most dangerous man, but paradoxically, he's also our safest bet. If that's your judgment, then I'm with you to the end, Quinto resolved. After this mission, it's time to awaken him, Tang Xiao declared, hinting at their next move on Coruscant. Who is he? You seem wary of him. Conspirators, politicians, no one is comfortable around such individuals. Yet, in the current political climate of the Galactic Republic, only they can make a significant impact, Tang Xiao stated gravely. If I'm not mistaken, Black G and his apprentices have already set their plans in motion. Leaning back, he gazed at the spaceship's ceiling, pondering, what gains can we secure from this turmoil? In the mid-rim of the galaxy, on the planet Kothlis, the Bosa people had established vast factories. This planet, now a hub of colonization and industry, stood as a testament to their ingenuity and ambition. The galaxy was predominantly covered by oceans, from which various rare elements were extracted for use. This galaxy was rich in resources. Beyond the habitable planet Kothlis, there was an asteroid belt teeming with minerals, rendering the system virtually self-sufficient. Consequently, the system seldom attracted outsiders. Even pirates and bounty hunters showed little interest in this heavily fortified planet, with the exception of the transport ships that regularly arrived to deliver industrial products. However, at this moment, a YT-1000 light cargo ship was silently navigating through the asteroid belt. The secret space station should be right ahead, Quinto remarked from the co-pilot seat, cross-referencing the coordinates provided by Hago with the empty radar signal. But there's nothing on the radar. If it were detectable by radar, it wouldn't be much of a secret, Munter replied, flipping several switches. I'll try using magnetic field scanning. A space station like this can't have artificial gravity. It wouldn't be sustainable. Meanwhile, Tang Xiao gazed out the porthole in silence. After a minute, he pointed in a specific direction and said, "Try scanning over there. I have a feeling there's something in that direction." Over there? That's a cluster of densely packed asteroids. It's a dangerous area. A space station built there would be destroyed within days. Kun Te expressed his confusion, but directed the probe as suggested. To their surprise, the scan was successful. That's an asteroid. The display showed an irregular rocky asteroid, about 400 meters in diameter, cleverly camouflaged. Apart from a communication antenna and a hangar platform, few facilities were visible, making it difficult to distinguish from ordinary asteroids. They've hollowed out an asteroid to use as a space station, Quinto exclaimed, amazed. They've completely disregarded the usual functions of a space station. Since it's a secret base, its primary function is concealment, Tang Xiao said, unbuckling his seatbelt and standing up. Let's prepare to attack. Munter turned to him, his expression grave. Manager, you do realize this mission involves taking lives, right? Given your age, this might be your first time in such a situation. Are you truly prepared to have blood on your hands? I can go in your stead. The narrative unfolds with the discovery of a secret space station, cleverly hidden within an asteroid. The team, led by Tang Xiao, faces the moral and ethical dilemmas of their mission, highlighting the complexities of their venture into unknown territory. Vol 2, Chapter 84, Red Comet. Tang Xiao shook his head firmly. You can't go. Since Hige specifically requested my presence, we're likely to face challenges beyond our imagination. And as for the murder, his gaze intensified. If necessary, I'm prepared to adapt. Murat nodded, his expression thoughtful. Then, let's set a timer for half an hour starting now. After I send the signal, you'll immediately storm the space station through the hangar entrance. Once Tang Xiao had finished outlining the plan, he climbed from the hatch that served as the entrance to the turret into his specialized ghost fighter, the Red Comet. After donning his flight helmet and connecting to the operating system, a flurry of data cascaded before his eyes. Tang Xiao's expression turned steely as he pressed the ignition, releasing the red comet from the Lancer's docking bay. The engine hummed to life at its lowest power setting, allowing the fighter and the Lancer to remain concealed behind an asteroid hidden from radar scans. Countdown begins. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Marat initiated the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Activating the signal jammer. Simultaneously, Tang Xiao thrust the joystick forward, and the experimental cold fusion engine of the Ghost Fighter surged to maximum output. The craft's lower section expanded, and its wings unfurled into an M shape, propelling it towards the space station like a bolt of red lightning. At a distance of over 100 kilometers from the space station, a squadron of fighter jets had already launched. These jets, mostly indistinct models likely salvaged and modified from junkyards, were accompanied by 5 larger bombers. These T-shaped bombers, each about 30 meters in length, boasted formidable firepower at first glance. Monte's voice crackled through the communication system. "Be cautious of the defenders. They have a total of 18 assembled fighter jets and 5 bombers. That's a freefall-class bomber produced by Nubia Star Drives." Quinto exclaimed suddenly. "What's the issue?" Tang Xiao's interest was piqued by the mention of the company's name. Nubia's spacecraft are typically reserved for the royal families and affluent individuals of various planets. They rarely produce combat spacecraft, making their ships a rare sight on the black market. "What kind of organization has access to Nubia's ships?" Quinto explained. A thought struck Tang Xiao. Has Nubia ever manufactured spacecraft for the royal family of planet Naboo? "I've heard rumors of a joint venture," Quinto, with his extensive knowledge, confirmed. Then, with a note of concern, he added, "Be careful, boss. The performance of these bombers is exceptional, and you're out there with just one fighter." "I understand," Tang Xiao responded, though his mind was elsewhere. Suddenly, several pieces of the puzzle clicked into place. "I see how Hige's request is connected to the turmoil on planet Tatooine." A revelation dawned on him, illuminating his understanding. The names Nubia Company, Planet Naboo, Black Go Damask II, Bando Gasa Gadura, Jabba, all converged in his mind, outlining a significant plot that he had been piecing together. The planet Costless, a key colony of the Boza people and the target of their mission, indicated that Hige had been delving into the origins of the Broderick Stone gang. He discovered that Hut Gadura had employed them through certain channels. This attack was Hige's way of sending a warning to Gadura and his associates, cautioning them against any further disturbances while seeking to uncover more information. However, Tang Xiao realized that Hige might have underestimated the complexity of the situation. The presence of Nubia's spacecraft suggested that the conspiracy against him involving Black Go Damask II was already in motion. Under Gadura's orchestration, an alliance was forming, but the implications were far-reaching and potentially more dangerous than Hige had anticipated. On the surface, it seemed that Gadura was the driving force behind the alliance, but in reality, the true mastermind was someone else. Now, fully embroiled in the unfolding events, Tang Xiao saw an opportunity to demonstrate his worth. A cunning smile played at the corner of his mouth as he mused. "Black Gay, I've deciphered your intentions. Watch as I transform into your most devoted disciple and the deadliest weapon at your disposal. And when the time comes for you to depart this world, I will inherit your legacy and honor your memory every Qingming festival." Taking a deep breath, Tang Xiao's gaze sharpened, exuding a determination that could rival even a Jedi Knight's, despite his lack of formal training in the Force. The dense asteroid field surrounding the space station presented him with a unique opportunity. His adversaries primarily consisted of hastily assembled and modified fighter jets, among which only 5 were advanced drop bombers. Bombers, known for their formidable firepower, yet lacking in agility, hinted at a sliver of hope for Tang Xiao. With a sudden burst of speed, Tang Xiao piloted the Red Comet Ghost Fighter, activating its active fire control radar and locking onto 2 enemy jets ahead. He meticulously adjusted the radar's data variables, and with the Force enhancing his perception, predicting the enemy's trajectory became effortless. It took mere seconds to acquire a lock-on, and with the press of a button, 2 Gemini air-to-air missiles were launched from the Wraith fighter's wings, targeting the enemy from both sides. The Gemini missiles, renowned for their advanced technology, featured a unique linkage function. When two missiles locked onto the same target, they would coordinate their attack, performing evasive maneuvers and striking from different angles simultaneously. This technology, a critical component of the Tyranid Empire's air force in their battles against the Protoss and Zerg in Starcraft, was designed to challenge even the Protoss's Golden Fleet. Tang Xiao couldn't help but scoff at the thought that mere pirates could withstand such firepower. The missiles detonated in a brilliant flash, their explosion sending a cascade of debris and shockwaves through the vacuum. Without looking back, Tang Xiao maneuvered the Ghost Fighter behind an asteroid for cover. As pirate pilots scrambled to respond, dozens of energy blasts struck the asteroid, but the Ghost Fighter had already re-emerged on the other side. Unleashing a barrage from its 3 blaster cannons, Tang Xiao obliterated 2 pirate jets in a fiery explosion. Caught off guard by the Ghost Fighter's prowess, the pirates hastily adjusted their formation, attempting to encircle Tang Xiao from multiple directions. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, Freefall Level Bomber. For ease of future reading, you may click Favorites below to bookmark this chapter, Chapter 86, Red Comet, ensuring it's readily accessible within your bookshelf during your next visit. If you've enjoyed Star Wars, The Fourth Natural Disaster, please consider recommending this book to your friends via QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Your support is greatly appreciated. Vol 2, Chapter 85, Breakthrough Defense. Star Wars, The Fourth Calamity. Chapter 85, Breakthrough Defense. Despite their efforts, the pirates' attempts to capture Tang Xiao were futile. The Red Comet Ghost Fighter, piloted by Tang Xiao, outpaced them with ease, and his use of the Force to anticipate their maneuvers made it impossible for them to encircle him. Within less than a minute, the battle devolved into a fruitless chase, with over a dozen pirate planes pursuing a single fighter in vain. Inside the space station, a Bossa pirate leader bellowed in frustration. "Who is this adversary? How did they find our coordinates?" "I don't know, boss. They came straight for us," replied one of his subordinates hastily. "Shoot them down immediately. We can't afford any complications," the leader commanded. "It's no use, boss. That fighter is too fast for us to catch," another pirate protested. "Fools, bombard the asteroid field then. Don't let him use it for cover," the leader ordered, before turning to another subordinate. "Inform the Samir Sahad people that our location has been compromised. Prepare to evacuate." "Now? But the fighter will catch us in the act," the subordinate objected. "Then let those incompetents buy us some time," the leader snapped. Suddenly, he was informed, "Boss, all communications are down. We can't send any messages." "What?" The leader's face paled, and a sense of impending doom took hold. Without another word, he turned and dashed towards the hangar. But as he flung the door open, he was met by a daunting figure blocking his path. The man before him was shirtless, his skin marred with gruesome scars, and his pallor was as ghastly as that of a corpse. More unsettling was the helmet he wore, crafted from animal bones, concealing his face except for the chilling gaze of his dark blue eyes. "Old Samir." "Boss," the pirate leader stammered, frozen with fear. "Fugitives, death penalty," the visitor declared coldly before thrusting a short stick into the pirate leader's body. The leader burst into green flames, screaming and writhing on the ground, but the fire was relentless. Soon, all that remained was a charred skeleton. Samir's menacing gaze swept over the pirates in the command center, sending shivers down their spines. "Those who flee at the sight of a single fighter jet do not deserve the moon of Bodin's blessing. Only the brave and fearless are worthy," Samir proclaimed. "We must shoot down that fighter jet." With those final words, he departed, leaving the pirates in a state of terror. Meanwhile, in the space battlefield, Tang Xiao continued to decimate the pirate fighters, destroying 4 or 5 more. The remaining fighters realized the direness of their situation. No matter how they maneuvered, they couldn't escape Tang Xiao's targeting, and his shots were unerringly accurate. Realizing their disadvantage, the 5 bomber pilots finally took decisive action. They targeted the surrounding asteroid belt, unleashing a barrage of proton torpedoes and high-powered blasters. The asteroids shattered under the onslaught, creating a deadly storm of debris. This bombardment inadvertently took out 2 more pirate fighters, caught in the explosion and lost amidst the hurtling fragments. However, the strategy also posed a challenge for Tang Xiao, who now had to navigate through the asteroid debris. But Tang Xiao quickly adapted, steering his fighter towards the pirate space station. The pirates hadn't anticipated this bold move. They were aware that the space station was equipped with formidable defenses, but Tang Xiao's unexpected approach caught them off guard, leaving them scrambling to respond to his relentless advance. Tang Xiao exhibited no fear as he charged forward, launching 4 missiles at a descending bomber in front of him. The 30-meter-long bomber, which could be classified as a light frigate by Fourth Civilization standards, stood no chance against the assault. Its shields were easily penetrated by the Gemini missiles coming from different directions. Tang Xiao's reaction was swift. As he flew past the bomber, he unleashed several blasting beams directly at its engine, causing it to explode in a fiery blaze. Like red lightning, his ghost fighter broke through the defense and headed straight for the space station, with the pirates' remaining fighter jets in hot pursuit, whether they aimed to shoot him down or simply escape. These fighter jets lacked the capability for hyperspace travel. As Tang Xiao neared the pirate space station, a hidden hatch opened, revealing more than a dozen close-in defense cannons that began firing a barrage of energy beams. However, Tang Xiao navigated through the onslaught with ease. He had identified a vulnerability in the space station's defenses. Its construction within an asteroid meant its irregular shape prevented the close defense system from covering all surrounding airspace. Tang Xiao exploited this flaw, using the station's shape for cover and his fighter's superior speed to evade the turret's fire. The situation worsened for the pirate fighters that followed. The space station's defense could not keep pace with Tang Xiao's maneuvers, turning the energy beams he dodged into deadly obstacles for the pursuing pirate jets. In a panic, the pirates inside the station fired indiscriminately, causing chaos among their own pilots. Several pirate jets were destroyed by their own station's fire. After Tang Xiao destroyed another bomber with a fierce attack, the morale of the pirate pilots plummeted. "Retreat! Retreat! What kind of fighter is this? It's too powerful," they cried. "Run! We're up against a monster." But in the vastness of space, where could they flee? The only ships capable of hyperspace travel were a few shuttles controlled by the pirate leaders, meant to keep the station's secrets safe. This strategy, however, turned their space station into a veritable steel coffin. For those who wish to continue following this thrilling saga, remember to bookmark this page. And if you've enjoyed Star Wars: The Fourth Natural Disaster, consider sharing it with your friends on social media. Your support is greatly appreciated. Volume 2, Chapter 86, Borden's Moon. In the aftermath of the chaotic dogfight, Tang Xiao had already begun his ruthless hunt. Another bomber fell victim to his relentless assault, and the remaining pirates desperately flew toward the space station's hangar platform in a futile attempt to escape. However, Tang Xiao was quicker. He managed to slip into the hangar before its gates could seal shut, immediately disabling the emergency closure mechanism. The massive metal gate jammed, leaving only an energy field to separate the vacuum of space from the interior. Piloting the Red Comet Ghost Fighter with precision, Tang Xiao made his bold entrance into the hangar platform. The pirates, who were moments away from landing, could hardly believe that Tang Xiao would dare to follow them inside. They had underestimated him, thinking his single-seat fighter only had an advantage in open space due to its superior performance. They never anticipated his audacity to breach the hangar itself. Without hesitation, Tang Xiao unleashed havoc. Hovering at the center of the hangar platform, he activated the anti-gravity device and began bombarding the pirate fighters attempting to land. His attack was relentless, firing all the Gemini missiles in his arsenal. The hangar was quickly engulfed in flames, destroying nearly all the parked fighter jets and slaughtering the pirates who had attempted to flee the space station. Amidst the chaos, the Lancer, previously concealed behind an asteroid, made its appearance and swiftly moved toward the hangar platform. By the time the Lancer arrived, Tang Xiao had already turned the hangar into a scene of devastation, with charred remains and burning wreckage scattered everywhere. Munter, accompanied by Quinto and escorted by 4 T-850s, stepped out of the spacecraft. Surveying the nearly obliterated hangar, Munter couldn't help but express his admiration. "You are truly remarkable, manager. Only you could achieve such destruction with a fighter jet. Now I understand why you insisted that only you could handle this mission. My decades of piloting experience pale in comparison to your skills." "This isn't about piloting skills. It's about understanding the Force," Tang Xiao replied calmly, his gaze piercing through Munter with an unsettling indifference. It was as if the ice-cold depths of his eyes betrayed no sign of the carnage he had just orchestrated. Quinto caught a glimpse of Tang Xiao's chilling gaze and involuntarily shuddered, taking a few steps back. Munter, attempting to voice his concerns, suddenly felt a wave of unease and fell silent. "Let's proceed. Samir Sahad is still somewhere within the space station. I'm uncertain how long I can maintain this state. We need to eliminate everyone inside and capture Sahad alive," Tang Xiao declared. "Are you certain we must kill them all?" Munter inquired, seeking clarification. "They're merely a band of pirates, each with blood on their hands. Do you see any issue with that?" Tang Xiao responded, his tone devoid of emotion. Munter shook his head, a bitter smile on his face. "I'm sure if you were to join forces with Black G, he'd have you commit even more ruthless acts. As I've mentioned before, I may be forced into actions I disdain, but I'll adapt as necessary," Tang Xiao stated firmly. "Is it truly worth it?" Munter pondered aloud. "It's not about worth, it's a necessity. Without taking these measures, the fourth civilization will be ill-prepared for the wars to come," Tang Xiao explained, his resolve unwavering. Munter sighed, acknowledging the heavy burden Tang Xiao had to bear as a manager. Without another word, Tang Xiao picked up a Type 21 assault rifle, expertly checked the bolt one last time, and proceeded deeper into the space station. The destruction of the hangar had thrown the entire space station into disarray. The pirates were in a state of panic, realizing that their only means of escape, the shuttles in the hangar, were now obliterated. "Are there any shuttles left?" "Maybe a few," Tang Xiao mused before decisively commanding, "Go!" At his order, 4 T-850s surged forward. 3 wielded Type 21 assault rifles, while the fourth brandished an M427 general-purpose machine gun. Each was laden with a hefty backpack filled with ammunition and grenades. The moment they rounded the corner, gunfire erupted. Pirates attempting to stealthily approach the hangar platform were swiftly eliminated, sending the survivors scattering in terror. Tang Xiao, along with Kun Te and Quinto, pursued closely, though Tang Xiao maintained a cautious distance. He was acutely aware of the indiscriminate nature of bullets and the limitations of human reflexes, which could not always match the speed of danger, unlike the agility required in piloting a fighter jet. Meanwhile, in the space station's command center, the remaining pirates were in disarray. Reports flooded in to the newly appointed leader. "Boss, they're breaching our defenses. 4 battle robots are leading the charge, and our men can't hold them back." "Where can we possibly flee to? Surrender, and perhaps we'll live," the leader pondered aloud, his voice tense. He then inquired, "What about Samir Sahad and his group? They're still inside that enigmatic sacrificial chamber." "Damn it, we can't wait any longer. Let's go out and surrender," he resolved. Yet, before he could act on his decision, the command center door burst open, revealing the daunting figure of Samir Sahad. Beneath a grotesque beast-bone helmet, his eyes, fierce and unyielding, scanned the room, his presence as menacing as a predator selecting its prey. Accompanying him were over a dozen followers, each adorned with animal bone helmets, their torsos bare, revealing skin marred by countless scars, their complexions as ghastly as the dead. A chilling silence enveloped the command center. The pirates stood frozen, utterly dumbfounded. After a tense silence, Samir declared, "You have been chosen by the moon of Borden and are now the children of death." "What? What is Borden? I've never heard of it," stammered a pirate, fear evident in his voice. Samir, however, offered no opportunity for questions or dissent. The Bando Gosa terrorists behind him charged forward like predators upon their prey. Panic ensued among the pirates. Some drew their weapons in a futile attempt to defend themselves. Yet, despite being struck by energy beams, the terrorists advanced undeterred, seemingly impervious to harm. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter. The cult leader, Samir Sahad. For ease of future reading, you may click favorites below to bookmark this chapter. Chapter 88, the Moon of Borden, ensuring it's readily accessible upon your next visit to the bookshelf. If you've enjoyed Star Wars: The Fourth Natural Disaster, please consider recommending this book to your friends via QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Your support is greatly appreciated. Vol 2, Chapter 87, The Walking Dead. In less than 30 seconds, the pirates within the command center were swiftly subdued. Samir advanced towards them, a syringe filled with a greenish liquid in his grasp, ready to inject it into one of the captured pirates. "What is this? I don't want it! Don't!" The pirate struggled in vain. "This is a death stick. You should recognize it from Tatooine. Isn't it true that most smugglers in Tatooine traffic this spice extract to amass fortunes?" Samir said with a sneer. "No, it's not a death stick. I've used it. Please, don't do this." The pirate's pleas were cut short as Samir administered the injection. After injecting the death sticks into each subdued pirate, Samir and his crew transported them to a central hall within the space station. Here, dozens of pirates, previously injected, were arranged in a large circle, heads facing inward. The newly subdued pirates completed the circle. Samir positioned himself at the center of the formation, holding a cane that emitted a faint green flame. He began to chant in an unknown language, his voice growing increasingly fervent, though his expression remained hidden beneath an animal bone helmet. His men knelt, echoing the prayers in unison with Samir. As the chanting persisted, a horrifying transformation occurred. The comatose pirates began to sit up, their skin turning a deathly black with corpse-like spots, and their expressions dulled. Samir's men then placed animal bone helmets on each pirate. Beneath these helmets, scarlet eyes suddenly flickered open. Meanwhile, on another part of the space station, Tang Xiao and his group, led by 4 T-850s, encountered no resistance. "There's someone in the room to the left ahead," Tang Xiao noted. Without hesitation, a T-850 launched a grenade. Propelled by the robot's formidable strength, the grenade shattered the thick window and detonated inside the room. The explosion's flames and smoke had barely cleared when the T-850s entered, firing relentlessly. Pirates emerged, screaming, only to be cut down by a hail of bullets. The morale of the pirates had been shattered early on. Only a few attempted to resist, and those who did were quickly eliminated. Tang Xiao, under the protection of the T-850s and Munte, began to engage more actively in the battle. His keen sense of the Force allowed him to anticipate danger. Suddenly, he felt a premonition and turned, firing towards a corner. Several figures emerged, struck by the bullets, their blood spattering before they fell. It was only then that Tang Xiao noticed the grotesque animal bone helmets and the lifeless, blackened skin of their attackers, reminiscent of Samir Sahad's description. To his horror, the figures he had shot, despite their wounds, stood up again. Ignoring their injuries, they howled and charged. Tang Xiao's eyes widened in shock as he faced these seemingly undead adversaries. Retreating was their only option. At that moment, the village's special forces also noticed the disturbance and opened fire on the attackers. A relentless barrage of bullets tore through the air, turning the assailants into nothing more than heaps of mangled flesh, ensuring their complete demise. "What is this?" Munter exclaimed in shock. "Why didn't they die after being shot so many times?" "Zombies. They somewhat resemble them. In any case, these individuals might be connected to Samir Sahad. We need to be cautious," Tang Xiao advised. Quinto, who had scouted ahead, returned with news. "I found the command center, but it's empty." Tang Xiao's brow furrowed in concern. "Empty? Did they all escape? Let's investigate." Upon entering the command center, they discovered it was deserted, save for a corpse with a fatal headshot wound. Tang Xiao instructed Quinto, "Secure the hangar platform's door. Don't let anyone in, then use the surveillance system to locate Samir." "Understood." Quinto immediately set to work at the console. Shortly after, he announced, "The hangar platform is secured and our ship is safe. And they're here." "What? What? Air?" Munter asked urgently. "They're heading straight for the command center. Dozens of them, all wearing animal bone helmets. We can't let ourselves be cornered. We need to find a way out," Tang Xiao declared. "No, we're already trapped," Quinto said with a grim laugh. "There's only one exit from the command center." Tang Xiao quickly checked the surveillance footage and saw the corridor leading to the command center was swarming with people. Each wore an animal bone helmet, their eyes glowing scarlet. Their torsos were bare, skin unnaturally dark like that of a corpse, and despite their swift pace, their movements were stiff and unnatural. They surged down the corridor in a relentless tide. "Quick, barricade the corridor," Tang Xiao commanded. With a wave of his hand, he used his powers to hurl a nearby table towards the door. 3 T-850s lined up behind the makeshift barricade, their steel bodies forming a formidable barrier, while another T-850 took position slightly behind with a machine gun at the ready. The sound of chaotic footsteps approached as the attackers neared. The T-850s opened fire immediately. The initial volley of bullets cut down the front runners like wheat before a scythe. However, they rose again and continued their advance. Only those hit by the 12.7mm rounds from the M427 general-purpose machine gun stayed down, their bodies torn apart by the bullets' immense kinetic energy. The attackers began returning fire, indiscriminately shooting blaster beams. The battle was fierce, with both sides refusing to give ground. Note, in the Star Wars universe, spice is a term used for drugs. This note is for readers to better understand the context. To save your progress and easily return to this story, consider adding it to your favorites. This way, you can quickly pick up where you left off when you next visit your bookshelf. If you've enjoyed Star Wars, the Fourth Natural Disaster, please share it with your friends on QQ, blogs, WeChat, etc. Your support is greatly appreciated. Vol 2, Chapter 88, The Allure of the Dark Side. The red energy beam, pulsating with destructive power, struck the bionic skins of several T-850s, instantly generating high temperatures and causing a series of minor explosions. The bionic skins were scorched and peeled away, revealing the tantalum alloy endoskeleton armor beneath, now pitted and charred. Tang Xiao, Kunte, and Quinto, taking cover behind the T-850s, unleashed a barrage of gunfire. The corridor transformed into a nightmarish scene, strewn with blood and dismembered limbs. Hardly a body remained intact. The air was thick with the acrid smell of blood, overwhelming the senses. One T-850's armor could no longer withstand the onslaught and was penetrated by the energy beam. Sparks erupted from its body as its electronic eyes flickered out, and it collapsed, motionless. Despite the grim outcome, the attackers were all eliminated, showcasing a relentless drive devoid of pain or fear, focused solely on their mission. Without the T-850's intervention and the group's formidable firepower, the situation could have been dire. It was clear that ordinary individuals armed only with blaster pistols would have stood no chance against such a force. Quinto, unable to bear the sight, turned away and vomited into a trash can, his body rejecting the horror of the scene. Kunte's face was ashen, a testament to the ordeal's impact. Tang Xiao felt a wave of nausea but summoned his inner strength to suppress it. However, as he tapped into his power, a surge of dark exhilaration overwhelmed him. The carnage before him no longer repulsed him. Instead, he found a perverse joy in the chaos. This euphoria was indescribable, akin to a twisted version of paradise. Tang Xiao, caught in the moment, smeared his face with blood from the ground, marking himself with the violence he had witnessed. "Manager! Manager! Tang Xiao!" Kunte's urgent call snapped Tang Xiao back to reality. He quickly wiped the blood from his face, his actions a stark reminder of the dark side's seductive power. In that moment, Tang Xiao understood the rigorous discipline of the Jedi Knights and the necessity of their early training. The dark side's allure was overwhelming, capable of unleashing the most destructive aspects of one's nature. Doubts about his path crept in. Despite knowing the fate of King Black Damask II in 3 years, Tang Xiao questioned his ability to resist the dark side's temptation. The prospect of succumbing to its influence and losing himself was a fate he could not accept. Yet, the thought of the Mothership, the planet of dawn, and the fate of the Fourth Civilization steeled his resolve. He was determined to shoulder this burden, not for the sake of violence, but for a chance at a better future. Falling to the dark side would spell endless conflict and destruction for the Fourth Civilization. Tang Xiao refused to let that happen. With renewed determination, he bit his tongue, the pain grounding him, a reminder of the stakes at hand. The scent of blood and the sting of pain fully roused him from his daze. He glanced at Quinto, who was still retching, and instructed, "Just stay here. I'll leave another T-850, which was seriously injured, to clean up the corridor a bit. There shouldn't be many survivors left on the rest of the space station. Quinto, still in the throes of vomiting, managed a nod of understanding. Let's go, Tang Xiao said, turning to Kunte. Are you okay? You seemed off just now. Kunte looked at Tang Xiao with concern. Claiming I'm fine would be a lie. Thanks for your help earlier. With a sigh, Tang Xiao clapped Kunte on the shoulder and proceeded to navigate through the corridor. The sight was gruesome. Corpses, chunks of flesh, and pools of blood nearly reached his calves, making it extremely uncomfortable as the blood soaked into his shoes. The overpowering smell of blood made it difficult to breathe. Finally, they emerged from the macabre scene. Quinto's voice crackled through the communicator. Boss, I think I've found their hiding spot. Go ahead. There's a large hall right in the center of the space station. It's the only area without surveillance. Just follow the corridor, then turn left, and you'll be there. Tang Xiao nodded and followed Quinto's directions until he reached a gate. The sight of it made him frown. Amidst the space station's mechanical and futuristic ambience, the gate, crafted from black natural wood and adorned with dozens of skulls, seemed out of place. Such a gate would blend seamlessly into the worlds of The Lord of the Rings or Dungeons and Dragons, but it felt incongruous in a sci-fi setting. However, Tang Xiao was aware that the Star Wars universe harbored many such enigmatic organizations, and the mystical nature of the Force often lent a touch of the magical. With a slight gesture from Tang Xiao, a T-850 stepped forward and forcefully kicked open the wooden door, sending it crashing to the ground. The robot refrained from opening fire immediately, as their mission, given by Black G, was to capture Samir Sahad alive. Inside the gloomy hall stood more than 10 individuals, each donning an animal bone helmet and wielding a cane, all motionless. Behind them was a burly man, Samir Sahad, their target. Surrender, Samir Sahad. You still have a chance to live, Tang Xiao called out. Borden's moon favors us, Samir roared in defiance. Tang Xiao sneered, and the two T-850s beside him opened fire. Bullets flew, and the previously motionless figures sprang into action. Their eyes glowed faintly blue as they moved to shield Samir, with several falling to the ground under the hail of bullets. Samir took cover behind his fallen comrades. In the midst of the chaos, Tang Xiao couldn't help but think about the peculiarities of their mission and the strange blend of science fiction and mysticism they were encountering. Vol 2, Chapter 89, New Commission. In the midst of chaos, the assailants raised their wands, pulling the triggers to unleash rounds of bright green fireballs. Tang Xiao, sensing imminent danger, along with Kunte, swiftly began dodging, seeking refuge behind the pillars. The explosions of green fireballs echoed through the air. The T-850 continued its relentless assault, its bullets cutting through the ranks of Samir's men. Unlike the previous adversaries encountered in the corridor, these foes displayed the agility and speed of well-trained fighters, yet they seemed impervious to pain. A T-850 was struck by a fireball, and green flames rapidly spread across its bionic skin. However, its advance did not falter. It continued firing, its mechanical endoskeleton, resembling a skull, emerging from beneath the charred skin like a warrior ablaze. The gunfire was relentless. Despite the peculiar appearance of their wands, the assailants' firepower was no match for the blasters. Their fearlessness towards pain did not save them. They were systematically taken down. Now, only Samir Sahad remained. I'll give you one last chance to surrender. Refuse, and I'll ensure you return with nothing but your torso, Tang Xiao declared, his voice cold. Laughing maniacally, Samir proclaimed, I am the blessed one of Boden's moon. I am invincible. In that case, your limbs will be a feast for the dogs, Tang Xiao retorted, a sinister smile on his face. As he was about to give the signal, his communicator activated, revealing the somber voice of King Hego Damask II. Your performance has been unexpected, Tang Xiao. You possess formidable robots, yet your personal prowess remains unproven. Have you been spying on me? Tang Xiao countered. This is a mere precaution. The secrets of this space station must not be revealed. They must be obliterated, Hego Damask Tech replied coldly. Should you fail, I will have no choice but to intervene directly. Let's discuss my compensation then. Tang Xiao swiftly shifted the conversation. Given your current performance, you do not merit the proposed price. A team of robots could achieve better results for a fraction of the cost. Damask 2 sneered. Unless what? Tang Xiao's expression darkened. Damask 2's face twisted malevolently. Samir Sahad is here. Face him in unarmed combat. If you emerge victorious, you shall receive your reward. Fail, and you die. This is not part of the original commission, but consider it the first step towards becoming the strongest. You have potential, Tang Xiao, but you must prove your worth. Samir can attempt to kill you, but you must spare him, for I require him alive. Disarm and prepare for a duel. Samir, overhearing their exchange, burst into a deranged laughter. Discarding his weapon, he flexed his muscular frame, which seemed forged from steel. It seems your employer doubts your capabilities, boy. A duel, you say? I relish the thought. Kunte, stepping forward, aimed his rifle at Samir and shouted back at Tang Xiao. Manager, this is madness. Tang Xiao raised his hand to silence him, turning to face the holographic projection of Damask 2. A duel, then, but be warned, my fee will be substantial. There are no terms, I Damask. Cannot meet, Damask Tech responded, his voice laced with anticipation. In the dimly lit room, the air was thick with anticipation. There is no entity too vast for the holding group to engage with, no price too steep for the Interstellar Banking Association to match, and nothing I, Darth, cannot achieve, declared Black G, his eyes ablaze with an unwavering resolve. Revealing his concealed identity, he commanded, Now, go forth. Prove that you possess the greatest potential in the galaxy. Tang Xiao inhaled deeply, letting the Type 21 assault rifle slip from his grasp as he fixed his gaze on Samir Sahad standing before him. Towering close to 1.9 meters with bulging muscles, Samir's imposing figure dwarfed Tang Xiao's own. In the past, facing such a colossus would have meant certain defeat with just a single punch. But today was different. The moon of Borden empowers me. I am invincible. Samir bellowed, charging forward with the unstoppable force of a tank. Tang Xiao centered his mind, channeling the power of the force to its limit. With a forceful push of his hands, an invisible energy surged towards Samir. Yet Tang Xiao felt as if his spirit had collided with an impenetrable barrier, momentarily leaving him gasping for air. Despite this, Samir was thrust backward by the unseen force, crashing into the wall with a heavy thud. This encounter served as a stark reminder to Tang Xiao. The force was indeed omnipotent, and its presence permeated the universe. The distinction lay in the ability of force-sensitive beings, like Jedi Knights, to actively wield its power. Consequently, individuals with formidable strength could exhibit a certain resistance to the force. Samir Sahad was a prime example. If moving an ordinary person was akin to shifting a table, then pushing Samir felt like attempting to move a boulder. You insolent brat! Don't think you can escape my wrath with mere tricks. I'll rip you apart. Samir roared, seizing the lifeless body of a fallen comrade and hurling it towards Tang Xiao. With quick reflexes, Tang Xiao dodged the incoming projectile, but a growing sense of danger gnawed at his heart. His body struggled to keep pace with his racing thoughts. Suddenly, a forceful impact struck him, akin to being hit by a speeding train. He was sent flying, tumbling across the ground before coming to a halt. As he attempted to rise, the ominous premonition in his heart surged once more. Without a moment's hesitation, he rolled away, narrowly evading Sahad's massive frame as it crashed into the spot he had just vacated. For those seeking the thrilling saga of Star Wars: The Fourth Scourge, the journey to the heart of this adventure is but a search away. Chapter 90, Infinite Potential. Boy, I want you to die! Samir roared, charging towards Tang Xiao once more. With a swift use of the force, Tang Xiao pushed him back. A muffled bang echoed as both he and Samir were knocked to the ground. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Tang Xiao struggled to his feet, his gaze locked on Samir. However, he suddenly felt a wave of dizziness, unlike anything he had experienced before. It was a mix of excitement and disorientation, as if he was seeing monstrous figures where his opponents stood. These figures, amalgamations of the most terrifying aspects of humanity, seemed to be lunging at him with ferocious intent. A primal fear surged within Tang Xiao, quickly giving way to towering rage. You monsters, think you can kill me? Let's see who outlasts whom, he bellowed. Manager, something's not right with you. Stop this at once, Village shouted, concerned. He had considered ordering the T-850 to eliminate Samir directly, but hesitated due to the unfolding chaos. Ha! Do you feel it? This is the power of Bodin's moon. You should be grateful to the Death Stick for letting you witness this immense power. Bow to it. Surrender. Samir's laughter was maniacal. Damn, the substances in those green fireballs have evaporated. Munter, too, noticed the distortion in his vision and realized the gravity of the situation. He attempted to command the T-850, but a massive shockwave cut him off. The shockwave, like a cannonball, blasted through the hall, sending everyone, including the T-850s, Munter, and Samir, flying. When Village managed to stand, he saw the hall in ruins, with only Tang Xiao still standing amidst the chaos. A palpable, almost visible aura of terrifying pressure surrounded him, making it difficult for anyone to meet his gaze. Ha! Yes! This is your potential! The communication device crackled with Darth Plagueis' smug laughter. This isn't some hallucination induced by spice. This is the real potential that could let you dominate the galaxy. Tang Xiao, feeling an indescribable sense of control, slowly raised his hand. He pointed at Samir Sahad, who was lifted into the air by an invisible force. The large man dangled helplessly, his struggles futile. As Tang Xiao's grip tightened, the force around Samir's neck intensified. Samir's body convulsed violently, his attempts to breathe fruitless. Darth Plagueis watched with glee, murmuring, "Compared to your value, this man is nothing but an ant." A sinister smile crossed Tang Xiao's face, his eyes tinged red with the dark side's allure. The thrill of controlling life and death was intoxicating. Suddenly, Samir's pants darkened with a foul-smelling liquid. He had lost control of his bladder in fear. Then, in a surprising turn, Tang Xiao released his grip. With a casual wave of his hand, he flung Samir against the wall. He glanced at Darth Plagueis, stating calmly, "He needs to live." That was the mission agreement. In that moment, Tang Xiao had resisted the urge to kill, pulling himself back from the brink. He had managed to retain control, not allowing himself to be consumed by the dark side's seductive power. Tang Xiao was acutely aware of his significant potential in the Force, a rarity even across the vast expanses of the Star Wars universe. The reaction of Darth Plagueis to his abilities made it clear that the Sith Lord saw great value in him. Unlike the Jedi, who often begin training at a young age, the Sith have no such age restrictions for their apprentices, often preferring adults whose desires make them more susceptible to corruption. Plagueis' interest was unmistakable, and Tang Xiao knew that demonstrating his worth could secure him a place at Plagueis' side. However, the idea of falling into the ways of the Sith was troubling for him. He had no desire for the path of killing and indulgence, yet he was desperate for help to protect the civilization he had nurtured from the ravages of war. The Jedi Order, facing its own decay and rigidity by the end of the Galactic Republic, was not an option. "You've done well, Tang Xiao. Now return the people to planet Tatooine, and you shall receive your payment," Darth Plagueis spoke slowly. "My price has increased. You breached our agreement, complicating the mission and exposing me to unnecessary danger. I expect additional compensation," Tang Xiao responded coldly. "Extra payment? We shall see," Darth Plagueis laughed, his tone non-committal. "I'll be waiting for you on Tatooine." With that, he ended the communication abruptly. "Manager." A villager rushed to support Tang Xiao, who felt a wave of exhaustion wash over him. "Take control of Samir. Don't give him any chance to resist. These types of organizations, with their cult-like tendencies, are always unpredictable," Tang Xiao instructed, sitting on the ground to catch his breath. Two T-850s approached Samir, effortlessly restraining him. They bound him tightly with rope, resembling a wrapped dumpling, and then placed him in a carbon freezing chamber, ensuring no escape. Before departing, they also took the opportunity to loot the space station. Guided by Quinto, they discovered over 80,000 Upi coins, equivalent to more than 48,000 galactic credits, and nearly 50 kilograms of spices. Quinto explained that these spices were primarily used in the production of death sticks, potentially worth close to 2 million credits on the right market. It seemed that robbery was a far quicker path to wealth. For those seeking Star Wars, The Fourth Scourge, and other exciting narratives, a world of adventure awaits with just a simple search. Vol 2, Chapter 91, I Want You. In the arsenal, we discovered more than 10 airborne blaster cannons and 20 proton torpedoes. The cargo hold of the Lancer was filled to capacity. Under Tang Xiao's direction, the three T-850s collaborated to dismantle the main engine of the space station and pack it into the cargo compartment. This was crucial because the Fourth Civilization's immediate goal was to integrate with the Galactic Republic. Their understanding of the Republic was minimal, so gathering information from all sources was essential, especially regarding computers and operating systems. On our return journey, Tang Xiao communicated with the Mothership's main brain, instructing it to alert Clement to prepare for a potential visit from the Interstellar Banking Association. He emphasized the need for the Mothership to be battle-ready at all times, with the Ghost Fighters and Hammer-class frigates on standby. If necessary, even the damaged Hammerhead-class cruiser could be deployed as a makeshift fire platform. After receiving confirmations from Qijian and Wharton, Tang Xiao received more good news from Feng Yongwang. The SCV prototype was undergoing real machine testing. If successful, mass production could begin within a few days. Having arranged the necessary decisions, Tang Xiao and Kun Te set course for the planet Tatooine. As their spacecraft entered Tatooine's atmosphere, they observed the planet's unrest. Fighter jets bombarded ground targets in a wasteland, and Mos Esper's port was engulfed in black smoke. The Lancer's sensors detected abnormal thermal energy levels, indicative of an intense gunfight in Mos Esper. Only a significant exchange of blaster fire could trigger such a sensor response. On the horizon, a massive shadow loomed, a Hutt battleship, undoubtedly patrolling Tatooine in Hutt space. This suggested that the Grand Hutt Cell, the Hutt's supreme authority, had intervened in the ongoing disputes. The spacecraft landed at a spaceport in Mos Eisley. Tang Xiao and his team, carrying Samir Sahad encased in carbonite, headed for Hago Damask II's residence. The streets of Mos Eisley, usually bustling, were now sparsely populated, with only armed individuals in sight. Tang Xiao's group, fresh from battle, radiated a formidable presence that warned others to keep their distance. Their blood-stained attire and assault rifles spoke volumes of their recent encounters. The T-850s, damaged in battle and revealing their metallic endoskeletons beneath torn bionic skin, added to their intimidating appearance. As they passed, mercenaries and bounty hunters cleared a path, avoiding any direct eye contact. Upon reaching Hago Damask II's darkened building, they were greeted by the medical robot 114D. Master has been awaiting your arrival for some time. He is likely in his study. Mr. Tang Xiao, please come in. I will take care of this carbonite block. The rest of you, please wait outside, the robot instructed. Tang Xiao nodded, stepping into the dimly lit building, ready to confront whatever awaited him inside. Kun Te and Tang Xiao exchanged glances before Tang Xiao ventured alone into the shadowy edifice. The moment he stepped inside, a conversation already underway reached his ears. The voice he heard was peculiar, reminiscent of a duck speaking through a subwoofer. Mr. Blacko, I assure you, I had no part in this. My only action was to let some individuals vandalize a few establishments. How could I have known they had their sights set on the Banta night race? A voice pleaded. It's irrelevant now, Ghidorah. What truly matters is my profound disappointment in you. Despite my unwavering support over the past decade, you've failed to maintain control over Tatooine for even a single day. Kuroko's voice retorted. Please, Mr. Blacko, grant me another chance. The Hutt Grand Council is outraged by the unrest in Tatooine. If we can just influence the Council, we can surely redirect their fury towards Jabba. I have connections with Aruba of the Hutt Grand Council, and it won't require substantial funds, just 1 million credits. Ghidorah bargained. Enough! Blackie cut him off sharply. Can't you see the reality, Ghidorah? You've failed. Tatooine will never be yours. Your recklessness has handed Jabba the perfect pretext. He's already declared all-out war against you. You're on your own now. I'm washing my hands of this matter. No, please wait, Mr. Blacko. If it means anything, you can have my estate on Tatooine. Mr. Blacko. Ghidorah's voice was desperate. However, Black G ended the communication abruptly, leaving no room for further discussion. As Tang Xiao entered the room, the holographic projection of a corpulent Hutt flickered out of existence. Ah, you've arrived. Excellent. Hago Damask II, without turning, acknowledged Tang Xiao's presence, already aware of his arrival. I've delivered the individuals as promised. Now, where is my compensation? Tang Xiao inquired, his tone icy. And what is it that you desire? Hego Damask too turned to face Tang Xiao, his interest piqued. He perceived Tang Xiao's insistence on compensation as a sign of significant interest, which he believed could be leveraged. My colony in the Endor galaxy requires ample resources for its development, Tang Xiao stated plainly. Assisting a colony is feasible, but what's in it for me? Hego Damask II's demeanor turned haughty, sensing an opportunity. That depends on the extent of your investment, Tang Xiao replied, a slight smile playing on his lips. Ha ha ha, investment? My investments have brought me the status and wealth I enjoy today. But this occasion is different. This time, I desire something from you, Tang Xiao. Hego Damask II said, a sinister red glint in his eyes. Me? Tang Xiao inhaled deeply, focusing his mind and summoning the force to shield his thoughts, ensuring Hego Damask II could glean nothing. What exactly do you require of me? The conversation hinted at deeper machinations and alliances, drawing Tang Xiao further into a web of intrigue that spanned the galaxy. Chapter 92, The Power of Darkness. Tang Xiao stood before Hige, who spoke with a slow, deliberate pace. Your colony needs to grow, just as you do, Tang Xiao. You possess unparalleled potential, a fact I'm sure you've already recognized. You are unique, destined to surpass all others and ascend to the pinnacle of the galaxy. However, you will require guidance. Guidance for what? Tang Xiao inquired, feigning confusion. Hige chuckled, a sound devoid of warmth. To harness this power, the power of the dark side. That doesn't sound particularly positive, Tang Xiao remarked, skepticism lacing his tone. Good? Bad? Such binary thinking is overly simplistic, Hige retorted. Morality is determined by outcomes. Victors are hailed as heroes, while the defeated are vilified. You've likely heard numerous tales of the Sith Empire's brutality, their bloodlust, and their genocidal campaigns. But remember, these narratives are crafted by those who triumphed over them. The Sith Empire's story is one penned by its conquerors. History is written by the victors, Tang Xiao mused aloud. Exactly. To be seen as good, you must become the most formidable entity in the galaxy. I can show you the path to that power, Hige proclaimed, his voice dripping with persuasive zeal. Despite Tang Xiao's efforts to shield his mind with the Force, Hige's words began to resonate with him. The allure of becoming the strongest, whether in terms of civilization or personal power, was tempting. Why should I trust you? What makes you capable of offering this? Tang Xiao challenged. If you've sought me out, deep down, you already know the answer. But let me demonstrate. Follow me, Hige said, beckoning Tang Xiao before disappearing into the shadows of the building. Navigating the pitch-black interior, Tang Xiao stumbled against a table before deciding to close his eyes and sense Hige's presence through the Force. He was met with an overwhelming darkness, a void more profound than any shadow he had encountered before. It was as if a black hole lay before him, embodying the essence of Hige's power, the power of the Sith Lord, Darth Plagueis. With no hesitation, Tang Xiao followed, guided by this palpable darkness. The eerie laughter that echoed around him went unexplained as he descended into a dungeon where light finally pierced the gloom. There, the medical droid 114D awaited, and Samir Sahad, recently freed from carbonite, sat nearby. Hego Damask II stood before Samir, interrogating him coldly about his organization, their interest in the planet Costless, and their connection to Broderick Gravel. Samir, thoroughly indoctrinated by his cult, showed no fear. Moons, with your minds clouded by greed, how could you possibly comprehend the grace of the Bowden Moon? We are its citizens, elevated above the galaxy itself. Hige responded with a dismissive tone. Experiments like you always please me. You must understand that the Force permeates all things, governing the universe. It can easily manipulate this experiment before you. Samir defiantly invited Hige to demonstrate his power, claiming protection from the Bowden Moon's favor, even in the face of death. It's just the beginning of life for me, Samir roared, his face contorted in a grotesque expression. However, Hego merely raised his hand and waved it gently in front of him. No, you will tell me everything. What are you planning? Answer my question, he demanded calmly. Samir's expression suddenly became dazed. After struggling for a moment, he confessed, I am a member of the Bandagora. I was near the planet Costless to secretly receive a batch of weapons and to use death rods to create a group of brainless individuals here. I don't know anyone named Broderick Gravel. Brainless people? Are those who are not afraid of being beaten to death? Tang Xiao asked, his brow furrowed in confusion. Go away, you vile creature! What have you done to me? Samir, far from being cooperative, turned his head and yelled at Tang Xiao. Hago smiled faintly. See, the Force can accomplish anything you desire. I can make this brute reveal the truth, and I can also create life. As he spoke, he waved his hand lightly, and suddenly numerous green abscesses appeared on Samir's body, causing him excruciating pain. Ah! Samir screamed, attempting to struggle, but found his body completely immobilized. No, no, no. You can't do anything too outrageous without my permission, Samir, Hago chided, wagging a finger. Now, tell me, what exactly is a brainless person? A brainless person. It's someone turned into a mindless being using a death rod with a special formula. Ah, the pain. They lose all capacity for thought. Samir managed to answer truthfully amidst his screams. Hago's laughter grew more sinister. Of course, where there is creation, there must also be destruction. With a wave of his hand, Samir's body was lifted by an invisible force and brought in front of him. Hago then lightly tapped on one of Samir's abscessed arms. Ah, my hand! My hand! Samir watched in horror as his arm withered instantly, turning to nothing but skin and bones within seconds. Using his slender fingers, Hago picked up the dried arm and with a gentle tug tore it off as easily as one would snap a dead branch. You give my hand back! Give it back! Samir roared in vain. His attempts to resist were futile in front of Hago, weaker than that of a mere chicken. Tell me, can your Baden Moon save you now? Hago grinned menacingly. Are you still searching for Star Wars, the Fourth Scourge novels for free? Just search directly. Reading novels is very simple. Chapter 93, Embrace the Darkness. Forgive me, I'll tell you everything. Samir, once a fearsome cult leader, was now reduced to a sniveling wreck, begging for mercy with tears streaming down his face. The intimidating aura he once possessed had completely vanished. What weapons did you order in Costless? Who was leading the operation? Hige demanded, his voice sharp and commanding. I don't know, I swear, I don't know any of those people. Samir cried out in desperation, his voice filled with genuine ignorance and fear. Realizing that Samir truly had no more information to offer, Hige waved his hand dismissively. An invisible force suddenly propelled Samir against the wall, where he collapsed to the ground, screaming in agony. What you've witnessed is merely a fraction of the Force's potential. I have dedicated my life to studying the Force, seeking its origins, and understanding its laws. Even my modest achievements have granted me immense power, Hige explained, his voice resonating with a deep sense of authority. He then extended his hand towards Tang Xiao, offering a proposition. Pledge your allegiance to me, and I will guide you on the path to unparalleled power. Together, we can conquer everything. You're not a Jedi, are you? Tang Xiao asked, his tone serious. Ha, no, of course not. I am nothing like those emotionless Jedi Knights bound by the outdated morals of the Old Republic. I am far more powerful than them, Hige declared, spreading his arms wide as if to embrace the darkness itself. And what you propose to teach me is, Tang Xiao prompted, the way of the Sith, the dark side of the Force, Hige revealed with a sinister grin. We draw strength from our anger, hatred, greed, jealousy, and fear. The power of the dark side is both human and beyond. It is fundamentally different from the light side, representing two entirely distinct energies. After laying out his vision, Hige extended his hand once more, this time with a hint of condescension. Now, tell me your decision. Speak your heart's desires and ambitions, and I will grant you the power to achieve them. A mysterious smile crept across Tang Xiao's face. Kneeling on one knee, he declared his loyalty with reverence. I swear my allegiance to you, to the dark side, and to you, King Hago Damask-Tsik. This allegiance is only temporary. I am aware of your growing doubts about your apprentice, Darth Sidious. You seek me as an alternative. My 600,000 followers and I will serve as your blade, aiding you in your ascent to galactic supremacy. You require a hidden ally, and I seek a powerful benefactor for our fourth civilization. This is a game of mutual benefit. I will heed your teachings, execute your commands, and vanquish your foes. This is a game of predator and prey, but remember, you are running out of time, while I am not. Rest assured, master, your demise will be certain. After pledging his oath, Tang Xiao's smile grew even more sinister, a stark contrast to his usually sunny demeanor. Beneath that smile lay a chilling resolve. I am the leader of the fourth civilization, tasked with its destiny. I am bound to embrace the darkness, so I welcome your guidance. My lord, Tang Xiao spoke, his voice carrying a weight of solemnity. Ha! Excellent, Darth Plagueis laughed heartily, pleased with Tang Xiao's declaration. Now, let me reveal my Sith name, Darth. This is my true identity within the dark side, and my most closely guarded secret. Should you ever betray me, I assure you, you and your followers will endure eternal torment. I understand, Tang Xiao responded, his voice steady. Suddenly, a red lightsaber materialized in Darth Plagueis' hands. He held it mere inches from Tang Xiao's shoulder, close enough that Tang Xiao should have felt its heat, yet there was none. Tang Xiao knew, however, that the slightest touch would unleash a devastating inferno. Having spent considerable time in the Star Wars universe, this was Tang Xiao's first encounter with Worth. Holding a lightsaber, Gus spoke with an icy tone, "You are unworthy of the title Darth. Let those two return first. My time is limited. You have only 3 standard days to complete the first trial." He paused, his voice growing colder. "Then, I will either send you back to the Andor galaxy or send your corpse instead." "I will complete the trial," Tang Xiao responded, equally cold. Plagueis observed Tang Xiao with a penetrating gaze. Although his expression was obscured by the mechanical breathing mask, Tang Xiao felt as though he was being scrutinized by a venomous snake. Suddenly, the tension in the air dissipated, and Plagueis' demeanor shifted as he smiled. "Come with me." He led the way out of the building, with Tang Xiao following closely behind. Before departing, Tang Xiao exchanged a few words with Kun Te. "You should return first. I'll either come back with the support of the Interstellar Banking Association or not at all." The villager's face fell at these words, casting a wary glance at Darth Plagueis before replying in a hushed tone, "Manager, what will become of the colony?" "The colony can function without me, but for both personal and public reasons, I must take this risk. Remember, we have only 13 years to prepare, and we might not need to follow the conventional path to achieve our goals. I'm willing to gamble with my life. It's my duty as the manager," Tang Xiao explained. "But," Kun Te began, only to be interrupted. Tang Xiao shook his head, handing him a note. "You're the person I trust the most, Munti. If I don't make it, you'll temporarily take charge of the mothership. I know management isn't your forte, so you'll need to awaken certain legendary figures to guide the colony, depending on the situation." Munte glanced at the note, which listed several names, including Artanis, Arcturus Mengsk, Phantom Man, and Big Boss. Although he didn't recognize the significance of these names, he understood they were individuals of considerable importance. Feeling a mix of irritation and resolve, Munte crumpled the note, swallowed it, and said with a muffled voice, "I'm waiting for you to return alive, manager. To hell with the air." With that, he punched Tang Xiao on the shoulder and dragged Kunto away without a backward glance. Tang Xiao watched them leave, pausing for a moment before turning resolutely to follow Plagueis. "Are you still searching for Star Wars, the Fourth Scourge free novels? Just search directly on Baidu. Reading novels is very simple." Vol 2, Chapter 94, First Trial. Tang Xiao followed Darth Plagueis to the entrance of a modest 2-story building. Plagueis paused, turned with a sneer, and said, "Have you finished mourning? Then, let's begin your first trial." "Proceed," Tang Xiao responded calmly. Plagueis stared into Tang Xiao's eyes, his voice slow and deliberate. "Despite your efforts to conceal it, I can still see the fear, hope, and ambition within your heart. You view the colony as a means to achieve your goals, which is commendable. However, remember, should you defy me, I can obliterate your colony in a single day." "I will complete the trial, my lord," Tang Xiao affirmed. With a gesture from Plagueis, the building's door swung open as if pushed by an unseen force. Plagueis made an inviting gesture and said, "Inside, you will find 3 mercenaries who have a bounty of 100,000 Up-Yuppie coins on your head. You have 2 choices. Bring me their heads, or they will bring me yours. Now go." Tang Xiao entered, his brow furrowed in determination. As the door slammed shut behind him, Plagueis' laughter echoed. 3 mercenaries, a Gamorrean, a Twi'lek, and a Nikto. Including you, none possess firearms. It's kill or be killed. You have 1 day. Surveying his surroundings, Tang Xiao found himself in what appeared to be an abandoned bar within the 2-story house, which spanned roughly 500 square meters. Amidst the dim lighting and scattered broken furniture, 3 figures were drinking at the bar. The first was a Gamorrean, his bulky frame and green skin reminiscent of a wild boar, clad in heavy armor and sharpening a large axe. Known for their simple minds and brute strength, the Gamorreans hailed from a primitive society that would likely still be in a feudal state without intervention from the Galactic Republic. The second mercenary was a Nikto, his skin rough and horned, giving him a lizard-like, menacing appearance. 2 machetes lay beside him on the ground. The third was a Twi'lek, his skin a deep shade of brown and his frame lean. He toyed with a slender, curved dagger. Despite the Twi'lek's reputation for their women being seductive and talented in arts, many Twi'leks had turned to mercenary work, living a life on the edge. Noticing Tang Xiao, the Twi'lek's eyes gleamed maliciously. "Ah, look! Here comes the prize of 100,000 upi. Let's see how you fare stuffed with spices," he taunted, his head-tails twitching in anticipation. Despite feeling a twinge of unease, Tang Xiao felt a surge of power within him, fueling a burgeoning rage. He attempted a menacing retort, but what emerged was a simple declaration in English: "Fresh meat." The Twi'lek charged like a predator, his movements swift and unpredictable, a master of his craft. Tang Xiao reacted instinctively, channeling his newfound power to hurl the dilapidated furniture towards the mercenaries like a tidal wave. The Gamorrean charged through the barrage, his bulk rendering the flying debris almost ineffective. He swung his giant axe, aiming for Tang Xiao with a ferocity that matched his imposing stature. The impact was thunderous, stone chips flying as the axe carved a deep gash in the stone floor, narrowly missing Tang Xiao. The battle had truly begun. Tang Xiao had vanished, skillfully ascending to the second floor through a crack in the ceiling. Below, the Gamorrean brandished his heavy axe, his loud slurps and spits echoing through the air. "Don't worry, we have an entire standard day to toy with you," he growled menacingly. The Twi'lek, with a tongue that flicked across his deliberately sharpened teeth, let out a savage laugh. "Try not to die too soon, boy." Perched near the gap on the second floor, Tang Xiao peered down at the 3 mercenaries. His initial panic subsided, replaced by a calm demeanor, though his eyes betrayed a hint of red, and a slight smile curled at the corners of his mouth. In that moment, an unexpected thrill surged within him. A day later, Darth Plagueis arrived at the building, accompanied by the medical droid 114D, his constant companion. The building appeared unchanged from the day before, yet Plagueis chuckled softly. "Heh, do you detect that, 114D? Analyzing the air composition on Tatooine, I detect 0.078% blood odor, a 17.32% increase in dust content, and 1.19% spice particles," 114D responded meticulously. "I'm referring to the scent of the dark side," Plagueis said, dismissing the droid's precise analysis. With a wave of his hand, he attempted to open the door, only for it to collapse, revealing the corpse of a Twi'lek lying in the doorway. The scene suggested that even a hardened killer had attempted to flee in terror. He consumed an excessive amount of death sticks, presumably to heighten his excitement, 114D observed. Approaching the doorway was none other than Tang Xiao. His clothing was tattered, his body bore numerous wounds, and blood still oozed from several injuries. Clutched in his hand was a notched machete, a weapon taken from a Nikto. With a forceful motion, he tossed the machete at Plagueis's feet. Despite his exhaustion and pain, Tang Xiao managed to say, "The trial is over." Plagueis, however, responded with a cold smile. "Pathetic. You, a Force-sensitive, took this long to dispatch 3 mere mercenaries? It seems you preferred a game of hide-and-seek over a swift victory." He gestured towards the interior of the building, now in disarray. It was evident that Tang Xiao had used the terrain to his advantage, engaging in a prolonged struggle with the mercenaries before finally overcoming them. For those who enjoy Star Wars, The Fourth Natural Disaster, please consider sharing this book with your friends through various platforms. Your support is greatly appreciated. Vol 2, Chapter 95, Psychological Defense. In the midst of a heated tirade, Darth Plagueis's voice boomed. If you're facing a Jedi Knight, you have only one chance to strike. The outcome will be decided in a minute. Either you perish or your adversary falls. But what I see before me now is nothing but a disappointment. I understand, Honorable Lord responded, his tone indifferent. He wasn't swayed by Plagueis's harsh criticism, yet he found value in the underlying message. Plagueis was right. He needed to resolve battles more swiftly. Facing a Jedi Knight at his current level of skill was beyond his capability. His mastery over the Force was rudimentary at best, limited to mere telekinetic pushes that required double the effort against opponents of strong will and physique. This trial was a crucible of life and death. Just half a year prior, Tang Xiao was an ordinary individual, and now he found himself pitted against 3 seasoned mercenaries in a confined space, a scenario beyond his wildest imaginations. Despite having awakened to the Force, his mental fortitude remained that of an ordinary person. He recognized the need for further tempering to shift his mindset and approach to life. Through various encounters and battles, Tang Xiao had started to adapt to his new role, but he was still far from embodying the mindset of a true warrior. Thus, Plagueis's brutal trial, though harsh, was a necessary ordeal, providing him with a day and a 2-story space to turn the tide against the mercenaries' relentless assault. Master, I believe he requires rest and medical attention, suggested 11-4D, observing Tang Xiao's condition. No, he doesn't deserve it, Darth Plagueis retorted coldly. Follow me to the Endor system. We'll assess what your colony needs. Fail to keep up, and you might as well perish on Tatooine. As for your colony's fate, that remains uncertain. With these words, Plagueis departed, leaving Tang Xiao to muster his remaining strength and follow without lagging behind. It seemed Plagueis intentionally took a detour through the desert surrounding Mos Eisley City. The twin sons of Tatooine bore down mercilessly on Tang Xiao's battered form, yet he persevered, his determination unwavering despite his fading consciousness. Tang Xiao understood that Plagueis's ultimate aim was to forge him into a stronger being, whether in terms of his Force abilities or the prosperity of his colonies. Just as a knife requires sharpening to be effective, Tang Xiao was the blade, and Plagueis the whetstone. After what felt like an eternity, Tang Xiao, driven by sheer instinct, found himself in a cooler environment, a stark contrast to the desert's harshness. His parched body welcomed the change, and a distant voice commanded, "It's all right. Give him some treatment and change his clothes. I don't want my disciple to be seen in such a state." "Okay, Master," a mechanical voice responded. Tang Xiao eagerly drank the water offered to him, feeling his strength slowly return. After receiving basic medical treatment and changing into clean clothes, he fought the urge to succumb to exhaustion. Showing weakness was not an option in front of Darth Plagueis. Plagueis approached, observing Tang Xiao with a scrutinizing gaze before finally speaking. "Your resolve is stronger than I anticipated. What drives you to endure such trials?" Without waiting for a response, Plagueis continued, "I see it now. It's your ambition and pride that sustain you. Despite the odds, you hold an unwavering belief in your eventual triumph. The ultimate victor, is that what you believe you'll be? Then why are you so confident in your victory?" Tang Xiao, clenching his teeth, responded with determination, "I will win to the end, my lord." "It's admirable to have ambition, Tang Xiao, but without the strength to back it up, it's meaningless. However, I can grant you the power you lack. Surrender to me wholeheartedly, and everything you desire shall be yours." The persuasive power of these words was immense. Tang Xiao, already weakened, nearly succumbed to the manipulation. In a desperate attempt to maintain clarity, he bit down hard on the tip of his tongue. The taste of blood filled his mouth, instantly sharpening his focus. "You are my honored lord," Tang Xiao murmured, feigning confusion and submission. In his heart, however, a fierce resolve burned brightly. He silently vowed, "You are but a dying man. I will use your last bit of value to my advantage. I will inherit everything from you, confront the murderer who took your life, and claim victory in this galaxy's struggle." Darth Plagueis. Unbeknownst to Plagueis, Tang Xiao, who was intimately familiar with the unfolding events, harbored such an unbreakable spirit. Plagueis, mistakenly believing he had successfully swayed Tang Xiao, was filled with unwarranted self-satisfaction. A Neimoidian sheathpod-class shuttle emerged from hyperspace, appearing in the cosmic expanse of the Endor galaxy. The gas giant planet Endor, with its pale blue majesty, slowly rotated in the void of space, surrounded by 9 satellites in a graceful dance around it. Between the planet and its fourth metallic satellite, Dole, a colossal mothership, shaped like a crescent moon, hung silently in space. Its hangar entrance, spanning over 3,000 meters wide, stood agape. Hundreds of spacecraft bustled in and out, while nearby, space structures, including 3 small docks, 1 medium dock, and 2 umbrella-shaped scientific research stations, buzzed with activity. Beyond the gas giant, the number of mining stations had grown to 10, tirelessly extracting helium-3 and various other resources. The lights of a larging operation on the metallic satellite Dole hinted at the bustling industry that served as the backbone for the fourth civilization. The galaxy thrived, a sight that even Darth Plagueis, with all his experience, couldn't help but admire. Yet his interest was particularly piqued by the giant mothership, for, to his knowledge, no larger ship existed in the galaxy at that time. Note, for ease of future reading, you may wish to bookmark this chapter, Psychological Defense Line, to quickly find your place when you return. If you've enjoyed Star Wars: The Fourth Natural Disaster, consider sharing it with your friends via Q, blog, WeChat, etc. Your support is greatly appreciated. Chapter 96, Cooperation. Tang Xiao initiated the communication link connecting to the bridge of the Glory Mothership. He addressed Daphne Clement with a sense of urgency. Prepare yourselves, our investors have arrived. Understood, manager. Everything has been arranged as per your instructions, Clement responded promptly. She had already taken measures to conceal anything that Plagueis shouldn't see, as per Tang Xiao's orders. This included ongoing scientific research projects, stealth systems, blue laser weapons, and related technologies from the Traders Emergency Alliance. Additionally, the chief financial advisor, Samid, was also hidden away, a task executed entirely by the mastermind behind the T-850 without any human intervention. Tang Xiao was well aware that Force users could peer into the hearts of others, and he took no chances. The motherships and colonies were too massive to hide, and thus were openly displayed. However, the true strength of the Fourth Civilization lay in their soft power, a vast technology library, hibernating talents across various fields, and 5 billion frozen embryos. Keeping these assets secret was crucial to preserving the civilization's potential. Darth Plagueis, with a curious glance at Tang Xiao, inquired, "You constructed this colossal spaceship. Where was it built? To my knowledge, only 2 companies in this galaxy have the capability to construct a vessel of this magnitude, Quarter Power Docks and Lundili Interstellar Engineering." "It's essentially a mobile space station, my lord. This spaceship lacks the capability for hyperspace travel," Tang Xiao clarified. "And your origins?" Plagueis probed further. "We're likely refugees fleeing a conflict," Tang Xiao offered his rehearsed explanation. "Upon awakening from hibernation, we found ourselves aboard this spaceship, with most of our previous memories erased. The ship's computer held no records of our past, so we began establishing colonies immediately." Plagueis, seemingly uninterested in the backstory, scoffed. "Refugees, huh? I suppose you're from a war-torn planet in the Outer Rim, but tell me, this spaceship truly cannot engage in hyperspace travel?" "Indeed, it cannot. However, should that become possible, this spaceship could transform into a formidable weapon of war," Tang Xiao suggested, strategically using the information to his advantage. "I'm not well versed in engineering. If it interests you, I could arrange for an engineer to inspect it, though I doubt its design is suitable for hyperspace navigation." Plagueis dismissed the idea with a wave of his hand. "Let's proceed with the tour. And remember, in front of others, I am merely Black Godamask II." "Of course, my lord," Tang Xiao acknowledged. As they disembarked from the shuttle into the hangar of the Glory Mothership, Tang Xiao discreetly communicated with the main brain through his neural chip. In the bustling communication environment of the mothership, their exchange went unnoticed. "Master, show the politician I've selected the footage of Black Godamask II and me touring the mothership and the colony. His willingness to assist us will be his decision to make," Tang Xiao instructed mentally. Guiding Black Godamask II through the mothership, Tang Xiao showcased its infrastructure and capabilities. He emphasized the colony's self-sufficiency in industrial production and the 600,000 residents in hibernation, highlighting the potential for significant growth and development. With such industrial capacity and a vast pool of manpower, the colony was poised for greatness, especially with the addition of 3 frigate docks. In the aftermath of their visit to the destroyer dock, a testament to their burgeoning power, He accompanied Black G on a tour of Dawn City. They meticulously inspected the city's construction progress before moving on to examine the impressive, albeit odorous, giant waste collector. The unpleasant smell hastened their return to the mothership via shuttle. Once settled in the living room, He, with a deliberate slowness, interlocked his fingers and inquired, "So what support do you require, Tang Xiao?" "The Milky Way is fraught with unrest, my lord. Initially, our goal was merely self-protection. However, after our paths crossed, I've come to realize the potential for greater endeavors," Tang Xiao responded earnestly. "Oh? Such as?" He prompted, intrigued. "An army," Tang Xiao declared, a slight smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. "An army unknown to the rest of the galaxy, an army that belongs solely to us. In this secluded corner of the Endor galaxy, no one would suspect its existence. It will serve as the most formidable weapon in your arsenal as you ascend to the pinnacle of the galaxy." Hige's response was a light smile. "State your terms." It was clear that negotiation was second nature to Hige, a trait seemingly ingrained in the moon species, from the lowliest street urchin to the most formidable Sith Lord. Commerce was in their blood. "We require planetary shields, battleships, and an immediate expansion of our industrial capabilities to support a larger population. This includes a substantial increase in robotic labor and slaves, as well as sufficient industrial machinery, and, most crucially, access to markets and—" Tang Xiao's smile turned sinister as he paused, then slowly uttered, "battlefields." Hige, maintaining his composure, regarded Tang Xiao with a keen interest. After a moment, he stood and said, "You still have much to learn. First, I will teach you how to conceal your power. This way, not even the Jedi Knights will be able to discern your true nature." "Yes, my lord," Tang Xiao replied, bowing slightly in gratitude. As Hige moved to leave, he paused and turned to say, "I'll introduce you to someone. His name is Thornhill. He will assist you with the development aid for this colony." Tang Xiao, seizing the opportunity, said, "Your Highness, if I may be so bold as to make a suggestion, I would prefer that your Damask holding group directly oversee our colony's connection, rather than going through the Interstellar Banking Association. This formidable weapon should belong to you alone." "And what of you?" Hige asked, his tone laced with skepticism, not swayed by the flattery. "When you ascend to the zenith of the Milky Way, my desires will naturally be fulfilled. Without you, my lord, such aspirations would remain unattainable." "This truth is always at the forefront of my mind," Tang Xiao replied, his voice now laced with adulation, as he bowed his head, offering words of loyalty and ambition. Vol 2, Chapter 97, Future Imperial Chancellor. Hige's laughter echoed triumphantly through the room. Clearly, Tang Xiao's proposal had greatly pleased him, and he found the reasoning behind it to be sound. Tang Xiao's acknowledgement that aligning with Hige was essential for the development of his small colony lent credibility to his words. "Very well. I will instruct the relevant personnel from the Damask Holding Group to establish contact with you. Furthermore, I'll do you a favor in Coruscant by encrypting your fourth group's information. Only a select few will have access to it," Hige announced, a hint of generosity in his tone. "I sincerely thank you for this gift, my lord," Tang Xiao responded, bowing his head in gratitude. Hige's laughter filled the room once more as he approached Tang Xiao, his voice taking on a darker tone. "As for the battlefield, this galaxy will never be short of battlefields," he exclaimed, his laughter trailing off into the distance. "Ah, you're finally awake, manager. Would you like a cup of coffee to help you refresh?" a somewhat monotone voice inquired. Struggling to open his eyes, Tang Xiao felt as though his eyelids were weighed down by lead. His head spun slightly, and his face felt oddly puffy. Accepting the offered coffee, he blew on it gently, finding the temperature just right, and drank it in one go. The rich taste of caffeine invigorated his senses, clearing the fog in his mind and allowing his thoughts to organize themselves. he realized he must have been asleep for an extended period, likely 2 or 3 days. Since accepting the commission from Hego Damask II, he hadn't stopped moving. From raiding a space station in the costless galaxy and capturing Samir Sahad, to undergoing Hego's trial and facing off against 3 assassins with nothing but his bare hands in a confined space, the challenges seemed endless. Following these events, Hego had led him through a desert for an indeterminate amount of time before they boarded the mothership for a series of negotiations. Finally, Hego had instructed him on concealing his dark side force. Reflecting on these events, Tang Xiao concluded that they must have been orchestrated by Hege with the intention of both testing his resolve and weakening his willpower through a relentless series of trials, thereby making him more susceptible to influence. However, Tang Xiao's unwavering belief that Hege will die in 3 years served as his mental bulwark against such manipulation. This conviction had enabled him to withstand Hege's attempts to dominate his will. With a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth, Tang Xiao felt a sense of accomplishment. Securing the support of the Interstellar Banking Association was a significant victory for the Fourth Civilization. His next objective was clear: to immerse himself in the theater of war as swiftly as possible. "You seem to be in high spirits after a restful sleep, manager," the voice remarked once again. Startled, Tang Xiao quickly turned to face the speaker, only to find a kind-looking middle-aged man in his 50s smiling back at him. The man, dressed in a crisp suit with his sparse hair neatly combed and the early signs of aging etched into his face, exuded an air of approachability and distinguished charm. However, Tang Xiao, aware of the man's true nature, recognized the danger he posed. In the current political landscape of the Fourth Civilization, this man's capacity for manipulation and coercion placed him at the pinnacle of threats. His ability to exploit the strengths and weaknesses of politicians through unscrupulous means had allowed him to achieve what many deemed impossible. This was the individual Tang Xiao had been wary of confronting, yet following his encounter with Hai Jie, he had resolved to engage in dialogue, curious to see if an understanding could be reached with this formidable adversary. Tang Xiao considered the legendary politician to be the one capable of causing significant trouble for Schiff Palpatine in the Galactic Republic's Parliament, T. Most importantly, compared to other potentially more dangerous candidates, this individual seemed less likely to cause a reversal of fortunes through the Force. "Oh, I apologize, I'm quite tired," Tang Xiao said with a smile, rising from the bed. "It's perfectly fine. You've earned a rest, manager. Though you're already aware, I must introduce myself." The middle-aged man approached, extending his hand gracefully. "My name is Francis Underwood. It's an honor to be of service to you, Mr. Manager." "Actually, the honor is ours. Our Fourth Civilization will greatly benefit from your strength," Tang Xiao responded politely. Francis Underwood's smile broadened as he continued. "When Hego visited, the mastermind also shared your proposal with me. Even though I was in hibernation at the time, I learned a great deal. You presented a very enticing opportunity. Thus, I accepted the awakening because I believe I can find what I seek here." "And what is it that you seek?" Tang Xiao inquired directly. "Something simple yet profound," Francis replied, still smiling. "Something we both rightfully deserve." The smile gradually faded from Tang Xiao's face as he stated firmly, "I need your help." "Of course, I assumed as much," Francis said, his tone casual yet withholding further comment, much like one would sparingly squeeze toothpaste from a tube. He was waiting for Tang Xiao to make his move, ready to seize control of the conversation's flow. Tang Xiao lacked the time and perhaps the skill for a verbal duel with Francis Underwood. If he possessed such skill, he wouldn't need Francis's assistance. Thus, he laid out his proposition bluntly. "I understand your desires, so let's be direct. You, Francis Underwood, will become the Prime Minister of this empire in the future," Tang Xiao declared slowly. Yet, Francis remained unfazed, sitting silently, his gaze fixed on Tang Xiao without uttering a word. Tang Xiao, too, remained silent, meeting Francis's gaze with a calm, penetrating look. After a moment, Francis chuckled. "Manager, I had a feeling you weren't one for grandiosity, and I just wanted to confirm that. But regarding this generous offer, I must ask." He leaned back, interlocking his fingers thoughtfully, Why? Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter. The protagonist of House of Cards, Francis Underwood. Vol 2, Chapter 98, Master the Future. Because this is my genuine belief. I won't attempt to persuade you, as I doubt my ability to do so. However, I can present the opportunities to you and let you decide, Tang Xiao said, rising to his feet. He walked behind the sofa where Francis was seated, leaning on the back of it. Francis Underwood, what you seek is power, the exhilaration of dominating the food chain. I'm here to offer you exactly that. I must remind you, Mr. Manager, that currently we are merely a colony of over 10,000 individuals with a mothership. To my knowledge, even the smallest empire in our history boasted at least 1 million inhabitants. Are you certain you're not jesting? Francis inquired skeptically. In light of that, why did you agree to the awakening? Tang Xiao countered. As I've mentioned, I envisioned a grander stage, one that promised even more opportunities. Perhaps I'm being too forthright, but this stage isn't necessarily limited to here. The Galactic Republic, despite its splendor, is riddled with corruption, akin to a magnificent building infested with termites and moths. That's our cue to intervene, isn't it? Are you referring to Krogo Damask too? Francis probed. He wields immense power, to the extent that the loss or gain of a planet barely registers to him. He's also your mentor, correct? While he is undoubtedly a formidable figure, I concur with your assessment that he presents boundless opportunities. However, aligning yourself with him as a disciple. Francis shook his head. You're essentially imprisoning yourself in a cage from which you lack the means to escape. So, you disapprove of me, Francis. You're too inexperienced as a manager. Youth implies a deficiency in wisdom and experience. You cannot hope to contend with those who have dedicated their lives to politics. I'm optimistic about your future, but perhaps it's a future I won't live to see. That's precisely why I need your assistance. But can you truly offer me what I desire? The position of Prime Minister of the Empire, a level of power unparalleled in this galaxy. I alone can grant you this, Tang Xiao asserted confidently. We're engaged in a serious discussion, Manager, and I hardly think this is the moment for jests, Francis replied with a slight smile. After all, anyone could make such a promise, even a beggar on a bridge, right? Even without employing the Force, Tang Xiao could sense a growing frustration within Francis. He stood and walked to the window, gazing out at the vast expanse of the galaxy. This is no jest, Francis. The future of the entire galaxy lies within my grasp. He raised his hand towards the stars outside the window, as if attempting to seize the infinite cosmos. I'm struggling to grasp your meaning, Manager. Francis Underwood admitted, his brow furrowed in confusion. Tang Xiao turned to face him, his expression earnest. I possess foresight into the galaxy's future. I've foreseen everything. With our complete technology, 650,000 hibernating elites, and 5 billion frozen embryos, we have the foundation to forge our own destiny in this predetermined future. The future of the galaxy? Tang Xiao elaborated. In precisely 3 years, or rather 2 years and 8 months, a conflict will erupt on the planet Naboo. The Trade Federation will use a tax dispute as a pretext to besiege Naboo, severing all external communications. The Galactic Republic's failure to resolve this dispute will lead to the resignation of the current Chancellor, Finis Valorum, and the rise of Senator Palpatine as the new Chancellor. Francis remained silent, absorbing Tang Xiao's words. Under Palpatine's leadership, the Galactic Republic will gradually descend into war. A decade after the Battle of Naboo, the galaxy will be split in two, igniting a civil war of unprecedented scale. Tang Xiao continued, his voice steady. This is our opportunity. He approached Francis once more, looking down at him with a fiery determination in his eyes. I assure you, the economic and industrial might of the Fourth Civilization will be at our disposal. As Tang Xiao outlined his ambitious vision, he emphasized the gradual strengthening of their military might until it was formidable enough to engage in the ongoing war. It's my responsibility, he declared. And you, my Prime Minister, must journey to Coruscant, the heart of the Galactic Republic, to secure our rightful place. Our success hinges on our collaboration. Only then can the Fourth Civilization carve its niche within the Galactic Republic. Upon the Republic's ashes, Nirvana shall rise as the Fourth Empire. Francis Underwood responded with a sly smile. I recall not having accepted your proposal, Mr. Manager. No, but you will, Tang Xiao confidently retorted, a fleeting red glint in his eyes. Have I managed to impress you in our discussion? Did you discern that I was assessing you? Francis inquired, intrigued. The galaxy has transformed, offering me a chance to ascend further, Francis. Join me as my chief ally and ascend to the role of Prime Minister of the Empire. Tang Xiao extended his hand in invitation. Francis stood, accepting the handshake. I accede to your request, Mr. Manager. However, I remain skeptical about the feasibility of becoming Empire Prime Minister. Personally, I find such grandiose promises to be rather illusory. He then added, Nevertheless, I've resolved to fulfill my obligations. That's why I'm aboard the Mothership, to assist you for the time being. I, too, aspire for the fourth civilization to thrive under your leadership. Tang Xiao approached Francis, sitting down with a serious demeanor. What I'm about to share concerns your future actions, which will, in turn, influence the fate of the fourth civilization. Understand that these words are for your ears only and will not be documented. Francis nodded, signaling for Tang Xiao to proceed. We are in the year 250118 of the Galactic Republic era, but I prefer to mark it as 35 BBY, September. The Galactic Republic is governed by the Galactic Council, with the Speaker at its helm, who faces numerous constraints. This epitomizes a democratic system. Additionally, the Jedi Order serves as the Republic's guardians. Despite holding no official political power, they intervene in matters they deem unjust, and their esteemed status compels officials to accommodate their endeavors. The critical point is that the current Speaker, Phoenix Valorum, is on the brink of losing his grip on power. In a little over 2 years, in 32 BBY, the Trade Federation will exploit taxation issues as a pretext to blockade Naboo. This maneuver is designed to pressure the Republic, culminating in the Battle of Naboo. Tang Xiao meticulously detailed the political landscape and the imminent challenges they faced, laying the groundwork for their strategic maneuvers in the galaxy's complex web of power. Vol 2, Chapter 99, Suitable Candidates. After listening intently, Francis Underwood took a leisurely sip of his coffee and said slowly, So, according to your plan, you approached Black Jade to secure the support of the Interstellar Banking Association because you foresee a massive civil war engulfing the galaxy in 13 years? Tang Xiao chose not to reveal that Black Jade would meet his demise in 3 years. His explanation was primarily focused on his insights into the political landscape of the Galactic Republic. He nodded in affirmation and added, Exactly. I need to complete my preparations within these 13 years to ensure we can capitalize on the opportunities that the Civil War will present. So, you aim to secure a significant position within the Confederation of Independent Systems, which will secede from the Galactic Republic? You plan to leverage the war to ascend to a high status in the new regime, Francis deduced. The political dynamics within the Confederacy are complex, no doubt. The involvement of numerous oligarchic corporations has lent a degree of stability to its politics. However, that's a concern for another time, Tang Xiao explained. Francis, intrigued, leaned in. It appears you're quite confident about all this. Is foresight your special ability? Since you can predict the future, can you foresee ours? Francis's question was pointed, highlighting a gap in Tang Xiao's narrative, their own future. Tang Xiao responded with a sardonic smile, placing a teacup at the table's edge. Consider this teacup. I cherish it deeply and plan to preserve it for a long time, sealing it away in an underground vault, untouched. However, before he could finish, Tang Xiao deliberately knocked the teacup off the table. It crashed to the floor, shattering. But I've just chosen not to grant it that future, he said, locking eyes with Francis. Francis, unfazed, smiled back. Then what significance does your prophecy hold for the future of the Milky Way? You're asking the wrong question, Tang Xiao countered. And what's the correct one? Francis probed. The right question is, where do we fit in this future? Tang Xiao clarified. Francis stood, straightened his suit, and extended a hand towards Tang Xiao. I believe I'm ready to begin work. However, I must clarify, if the future you've promised fails to materialize. He left the sentence hanging, loaded with implication. Then I will offer my life in apology, and you shall lead the fourth civilization. Tang Xiao declared solemnly, shaking Francis's hand firmly. Remember, power is akin to real estate. Its value is all about location. Being closer to the source increases your worth. Hence, I doubt I'll meet my end so easily. Francis remarked with a slight smile. Speaking of which, Sheev Palpatine, the future Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic and Emperor of the Galactic Empire, I'm eager to meet such a figure. Should you need assistance, don't hesitate to ask. I'll do everything within my power to support you, Tang Xiao assured. I'll need to awaken my wife, Claire Underwood, and my Chief of Staff, Douglas Stamp, Francis requested. I'll see to it immediately, Tang Xiao promised. One more thing, Francis added. Consider politics a game of chess, but a game requires pieces, be it power, connections, or money. We're short on pieces, so, at the very least, ensure we have a steady flow of funds. I suspect I'll be asking for financial support quite frequently. No problem. The resources of the entire Fourth Civilization will be at your disposal. Additionally, we have a service team on Coruscant, led by Rosanna Goods. She can assist you with your arrangements. Tang Xiao offered. Then, I have no further concerns, Francis concluded with a smile, nodding respectfully. Manager. After Francis Underwood departed, Tang Xiao exhaled deeply, sinking into the sofa. He stared at the ceiling, motionless, overwhelmed by the weight of the future they were navigating. Tang Xiao felt a twinge of apprehension, not due to Francis Underwood's formidable power. In truth, Tang Xiao possessed the capability to eliminate him with a mere flick of his fingers. However, Francis was undeniably the most fitting candidate for the situation at hand, not to mention his considerable strength. Tang Xiao had anticipated Francis's disdain for the so-called loyalty of managers. This meant that Tang Xiao had to rely on his own skills, persuasive eloquence, and the allure of mutual benefits to secure Francis's allegiance. Persuading someone of Francis's caliber was no small feat. If Tang Xiao possessed such persuasive prowess, he might as well challenge the Confucian scholars on Coruscant and secure a significant political standing for the Fourth Civilization. But that was not the case. Thus, Tang Xiao resorted to the most straightforward strategy, the lure of power. He knew Francis craved authority, so he offered him a position unparalleled by any other, the Prime Minister of the Empire. Tang Xiao was earnest in his offer. Exhausted both physically and mentally, Tang Xiao sighed, I really need a vacation. He leaned back on the sofa, feeling the weight of his responsibilities. Master, could you show me the training regimen that Hige left for me? The plan doesn't exist, Manager. Mr. Kuroko only set a goal for you, to reduce your body fat to 10% and increase your muscle mass to 45% within 3 months. Do you have any other objectives in mind? The system responded. Damn, no one mentioned that I needed to exercise for the Force. Tang Xiao grumbled under his breath. Nevertheless, he requested, arrange a fitness coach for me. There must be one among the staff in hibernation, right? Actually, I suggest letting your bodyguard, the T-850, assist you with your training. It has a comprehensive workout program in its database, the system recommended. Tang Xiao glanced at the T-850, which bore the likeness of Arnold Schwarzenegger with a perfectly sculpted physique. Despite knowing it was merely a facade of bionic skin, the idea of having Arnold Schwarzenegger personally oversee his training was undeniably thrilling. All right, Master, please adjust my schedule. I'll need at least 2 to 4 hours for exercise daily, Tang Xiao decided. Your schedule has been updated, Manager. Additionally, Daphne Clement is seeking you out. She needs you to review some of the items you brought back last time, the system informed him. Vol 2, Chapter 100, Continuing to Master. Tang Xiao nodded in agreement and said, inform her that I will personally visit to assess their progress. With that, he made his way toward the administrative office area of the Glory Mothership. The management team had expanded significantly, prompting Daphne Clement's administrative department to relocate to a new office area, thus alleviating the overcrowding on the bridge. Upon arriving at the administrative office, Tang Xiao was greeted by the sight of hundreds of employees diligently working in the spacious area, a stark contrast to the handful of staff members that used to manage the workload. The office was abuzz with activity. The Department of Agriculture is requesting an additional closed hydroponics tank. They need construction workers, materials, and at least 50 individuals with agricultural expertise, one employee announced. No, you must understand, the construction department cannot spare any more manpower. Once the SCVs are deployed, we'll only need half the current workforce for construction tasks. The rest will be surplus, another countered. If the patrols are understaffed, consider hiring Ewoks. Just ensure someone familiar with Ewok culture is sent to negotiate, suggested a third. Do we need fertilizer for the farmland? Reach out to the Ministry of Public Health. They can supply all the necessary fertilizer from the waste collection system. If that's insufficient, encourage the residents to contribute more, or even consider incorporating Ewok waste into the plan, another employee proposed. Make sure to tally this season's grain yield and deliver the figures to Wang Qin's office. She needs the data to finalize the next housing construction plan, instructed another. Amidst the flurry of activity, Tang Xiao's presence went largely unnoticed. He proceeded to Daphne Clement's office, finding her in the midst of delegating tasks to her staff. She was about to tackle another stack of documents when she looked up and saw him. Manager, I was just wondering when you'd visit. Regarding the items you and Munte acquired recently, some decisions need your direct input due to the sensitive nature of the goods, Daphne greeted him. Let's discuss the items we've brought back this time, Tang Xiao prompted. Daphne adjusted her glasses and began. You, along with Munte, Yuri, and others, have recently acquired a significant amount of Galactic Republic currency, including Upi coins and Republic credit points. To manage this, we need to establish foreign exchange reserves and introduce our own official currency to ensure a market-oriented economic operation. She continued, this entails setting up an economic sector and a state-owned bank, which are no small tasks. It's imperative that we find a master-level expert to oversee this. I'll look into finding a suitable master-level individual for the job, Tang Xiao assured her. Daphne then shifted the topic to another sensitive matter. There's also the issue of the spice shipment. As you're aware, we can't deal with this openly. Tang Xiao nodded. Leave the spice shipment to the villagers. Our consultants have the necessary channels to discreetly handle the goods. We'll establish a trust fund for the proceeds and funnel the dividends to Francis Underwood. There's no need to document these funds in the treasury. An allocation of 2 million credit points should suffice for his endeavors in Coruscant. Understood. I'll coordinate with Mr. Munte on this. Additionally, the captured weapons have already been transferred to the Engineering and Research Department, so there's no concern there. Now for the last matter, Daphne concluded. She then pressed the communication button and called, Luo Feng, come in. Moments later, a young man entered the office and immediately saluted upon seeing Tang Xiao. Manager, I never imagined I'd have the opportunity to meet you in such close quarters. Truly. It's all right. Do it well, boy. Tang Xiao encouraged, patting the young man, who was about his age, on the shoulder. Now tell me, what's the issue? Luo Feng is a top-tier computer expert. The console you brought back this time seems to be packed with data. Luo Feng, you're up, Clement introduced. The young man named Luo Feng was visibly excited, his voice quivering as he addressed Tang Xiao. The manager, the mainframe. Yes, mainframes. They contain a complete operating system, along with a wealth of encrypted information and various software. It's comprehensive, truly comprehensive. Tang Xiao's interest was piqued. His initial goal in acquiring the host was to analyze the computer system from the Star Wars universe, but it seemed there were additional treasures to be found. Can you decrypt it? Tang Xiao inquired. No, I can only identify the surface of what's inside. It appears to include accounts, transaction records, inventory data, and personnel lists. But decrypting it? Nearly impossible. The computer system's coding method and language logic are unlike anything we know. We'll need a team. Yes, a team, Luo Feng explained, pausing to think before adding. From what I've seen, their system is paradoxical, primitive yet efficient. It has an outdated interface but boasts remarkable processing capabilities. If we could integrate their strengths, we might significantly enhance our own computer system. All right, Clement, proceed with assembling the team. I'll check if there are suitable candidates to awaken, Tang Xiao directed solemnly. Understood, manager, Clement replied. Tang Xiao then returned to his office and began browsing through the list of personnel in hibernation, specifically targeting the master-level characters. These individuals could be awakened if their specific conditions were met, yet Tang Xiao approached this task with caution. Master-level talents were to be utilized judiciously, not awakened en masse without purpose. They were to be reserved for when their expertise was absolutely necessary, as was the case with Professor Qi Jianjun, who was called upon to tackle the most challenging tasks once all other preparations were in place. However, the current situation warranted the activation of such talents. Tang Xiao identified two critical projects in dire need of expert intervention. After some deliberation, he selected a computer operating system specialist, Tremi Bullard, a man in his 30s with a penchant for potato chips and soda, embodying the stereotype of a basement dweller. Despite his unassuming appearance, Bullard was a genius who had developed a superior, user-friendly operating system from his garage, along with a unique coding language that was both simpler and more efficient. He could have amassed a fortune from his inventions, but chose to sell them for a lump sum, preferring a life of comfort at home. Alongside Bullard, Tang Xiao chose Marvin Hitz, a master in economics and finance, to address the colony's immediate needs. He forwarded their profiles to the personnel department, instructing them to facilitate the awakening of these two experts by fulfilling their specific requirements.